What day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Ooh, Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, do you know what today is?
Hump day!
It is hump day.
And it is not my birthday. If you got an invite, my email was hacked. I would invite any of you anyways.
And then if you open it, it steals your list.
Yeah, don't.
And all that stuff. It happened to me. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. How's everybody? How are you? Demanda, are you here? Are you well?
Although Wendy said she wouldn't come to my fake birthday party.
I'm like, look, I'm not going to your fake birthday party. Look, I'm just...
Now, if you all want to send gifts, it's P.O.
Joe went with me to the P.O. box. He got to meet Miss May.
Yeah.
Yep. Big day. By the way, we've been invited to a wedding.
My condolences to the groom.
Oh my God, shut up. You don't even know who it is.
I know. Doesn't matter.
Well, then why are you saying you know?
I didn't. I just said condolences.
Hey, Megan. Megan, I love you. She says, I started to follow you when you were on Newsmax about a year and a half ago, and I proceeded to join your army. She's on the handle for Rumble is Megan909. So you see Megan909. Hi, Freebird. I love you back. She says, as a Generation Y conservative female, as I refuse to identify as a millennial, you are the first and only podcast I religiously follow. When I cannot listen live, I always catch up afterwards. I also appreciate your perspectives on motherhood and rearing your boys, which I reflexively reflectively think back on and even act upon when raising my stepson. I truly feel I can connect with you while virtually, as I've laughed, cried, and been angered at the same times you have been during your show. I am blessed to have found you in the Wendy Bell Radio Army. I wanted you to know that. I wanted you to know how you guys welcome people in, because that's special. It's a club, but people are welcome. By the way, the save the date, and she invites you to be my +1. Expenses paid to her wedding, October 3rd, and I think it's at Minnesota. I forget where it is, but just the cutest thing. Yep, Minnesota. Obviously, we can't go, but how dear of you that you thought of that. Hi, Doc Wombat. Thanks for slapping money. It's all right. I'm already stripping. I'm on the pole. They're throwing money at me.
Wow. Doc Wombat's saying, well, Wendy, once Demanda is medically cleared, you should invite her over for beers, dots, and boozy slushies.
That's not a bad idea.
$5 ain't going to cut it, Doc Wombat. You really want to help the Demanda get better fund.
It's not a bad idea. But anyway, I love you, Megan. That's just the cutest thing ever. You guys are the cutest people ever, and I love you.
Merch is being delivered Saturday, except the shirts. They will be in the store by the next Friday. We have to give Lindsay time to
get everything
together.
Everything ready. Also, I'm meeting with Dan Ireland tonight. Yesterday was an issue, so I'm super excited. If you do need help, home exterior work, and you live in the city of Pittsburgh, around the city of Pittsburgh, you want to see if Ireland Contracting, who I have gushed about for 5 years, more than 5 years, 7 years, consistently, these people have been sponsors of this program, longest running sponsors of this program. Seriously, Ireland Contracting. And they're wonderful. 1-800, huh?
They've been here from the start.
1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. If it's on the outside of your house, Ireland Contracting can fix it and make it beautiful. And they do patios now, which is just, I saw some of their pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. It's good to be with you guys. So anybody have anything to share with me in the comments section about Dolly Parton? We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it today. And I kind of feel bad because I don't have some deep rooted connection to her. I mean, growing up in Southern California, really the beginning of me knowing about her, aside from going to Dollywood when I was young on a family reunion with my dad's family, I just remember 9 to 5. Essentially, I remember that movie And I thought she was freaking dynamite and darling. And, I really did not know about her philanthropic stuff, never really paid much attention. But it is interesting to hear people talk.
Right. It's
just wild.
I think a lot of people know, but this Whitney Houston song, I Will Always Love You, was hers. She wrote that, I believe.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Literally, my knowledge on her is limited. But you don't have to have knowledge to pay attention to what happened yesterday. The coverage of it. We're going to talk about that.
Fox.
Freaking bananas.
Run something else.
Sucks. So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey!
Well, hello, America, and greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Happy hump day to all of you. This is the Wendy Bell radio program, wendybellradio.com, live video stream all 3 hours. We're on radio stations across the country. We share with you our facts, our data, our sources, and I tell you stories that I believe just make sense because it's common sense. It's common sense conservative values. That's what's going to save this country, ladies and gentlemen, not this lunge to the left, not what they're trying to sell us, none of this derangement nonsense, and we can prove it. I'm delighted you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't followed us already, I want to thank you for the 8.6 million podcast downloads. Wow. Wendy Bell Radio, wherever you get podcasts, same name to follow us, wendybellradio.com online. Thank you. Welcome to our family and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I was in my car yesterday, 2:00 in the afternoon. I was driving my dog, Murphy, who's like 3 weeks past due for a grooming. He looks like a total sheepdog, barking like a maniac out the window. My ears are on fire as I'm taking him to go get groomed. Arr, 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 arr. I'm like, oh my God. And it's literally 2 miles. It was the longest 2 miles of my life. Drop him off, get back in the car. I'm heading out to do some errands and whoosh, Fox News breaking news alert. And I got to tell you, I was stunned. I don't know why. Like Dolly Parton. I had no idea she was going to die. I mean, that sounds like such a dumb thing to say. Like, we usually don't know when that stuff's going to happen. But she had told us about some kidney stones, some problems she was having. I didn't know she had cancer. I didn't know she'd gone in the hospital on Friday. I didn't know. And then all of a sudden, poof, she's gone. And I'm listening to the news anchors just trying to, in the moment, wrap their minds around what they're reading. And this is well before the producers in the background are scurrying to find, performance video of Dolly Parton and interviews with Dolly Parton and dial up all of the people in the world they could possibly think of in their Rolodex to come on now. We've got to talk Dolly Parton, got to talk Dolly Parton. And I felt bad because I don't really have a feeling other than she was always smiling. I will say that. I never heard her angry. I didn't see her get mad. She didn't seem nasty or mean or what have you. She shared her music and her love of other people and made her life and the world better, I think. For 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen, that's all Fox News could cover, right? It was wall to wall and it was terrible. Because in that moment, it's not like you're going to a building that's collapsed and there are people inside who are dead. It's like, what do we say? It's almost like they didn't know what to do on the news. It was wild. And I'm sitting there thinking about this and I'm like, wow, the stories that are being told aren't even remotely emotional or impactful at all because nobody knows what the hell they're doing anymore. Swear to God. Don't mean to be critical of the news, but let's be critical of the news. It was ridiculous. And we were talking about yesterday that there's this vacuum, like this black hole. There's nothing going on. And then bingo, something happens and it's wall to wall, 24/7. It's all we can talk about. Everything else gets canned. We're just going to talk about Dolly Parton. There's only so much you can say. I mean, an hour is obscene. 3 hours later, they were still hot and heavy in it. I was like, holy moly. And then some people started chirping in negative stuff. Well, did you know that she gave $1 million to Vanderbilt for vaccine-related stuff? You know, Vanderbilt, the transgender surgery mecca or whatever. I'm like, I don't care. She's dead. The woman is gone. Can we honor her legacy and listen to a few of her songs and maybe share some stories that are interesting and not just filler and not go off the deep end and be critical? You know, the right is as guilty as the left is on this stuff. We're very defensive about stuff, very defensive about people who we believe have done or said things that are wrong. And that whole idea of grace is no more. It's like this whole Trump derangement syndrome thing, which is an actual thing. I'm not just saying this as a joke. I'm not saying this as a rib on primarily toxic liberal women who seem to be most afflicted by this. I'm saying, oh my gosh, we all have to have deeper meaning in life than to obsess over things we can't control, right? Like, can you imagine carrying around that burden with you every single freaking day? And what we're watching, guys, and I'm seeing it, and it was primarily women throwing these barbs out about Dolly Parton. Well, she didn't do this and she didn't do that. I'm like, oh, for the love of all that's holy. The derangement has to stop, see, because the whole pillar of it, this ire over one man, one guy's vibe, his family, and all of it, it's truly psychological what's going on in this country, ladies and gentlemen. And Brock stumbled upon something as he was searching for the song for today's thumbnail, if you watch us online on the podcast and what have you, that perfectly encapsulates what's been going on in this country. And at some point, enough of us have to get together and we have to stage an intervention, my friends, because TDS said to the song "Be Our Guest" from Beauty and the Beast, I think you deserve this, and I hope everybody out there who's triggered by Trump and other things, even Dolly Parton, can take something from a little bit of fun. Listen.
I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate
heavens, was that fantastic? And a total thank you to Brian Coyne Parodies for putting together the best thing you're going to hear all day today, because every word of that song is absolutely true. And its chickens, ladies and gentlemen, have come home to roost. Look no further than the WNBA. We've got it all for you on the Wendy Bell radio program today. Let's talk first about some primary results from yesterday. Darlene Graham, what happened to her in South Carolina, and what does that mean to the Democrats? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh my gosh. I love the person who says, can we lay off Fox News? No. Absolutely not. I mean, like, honest to God, I'll be more critical of people on the right who are deranged over stupid stuff, like Dolly Parton and whether she gave money to freaking COVID. Like, whatever. You know, at some point, the woman is dead, right? She's dead. And it's like how you remember her or why you hate her is totally lost in translation. It's like, rest in peace. You know?
The only benefit
Peace.
of their 3-hour coverage is, other than the Fox News alert that she was dead, I had it on in the background. I didn't hear one whoosh, Fox
there were
News
no
alert.
banners, no stingers, no like, right?
If that link is not on the locals page, every other link is. Just go into YouTube and type TDS song and it'll come up.
I want to say something to you. Do you guys, this doesn't apply to everybody, but if it does apply to you, this is something that I think might make you feel a lot more comfortable and a lot healthier. And it's a product that I have. It's from Pure Health Research. And it's called Lymph Support. And you're like, how many more supplements do I need to take? Well, this isn't for everybody. But if this does describe you or someone you love, it might. And you might be interested. Okay? So here's the thing. And I'm going to tell you exactly how they say it because it's perfect. Do you notice that your socks leave a mark on your legs, that your feet and your ankles and your calves are feeling swollen? Do your legs ever feel like they're super heavy? Right? Like there's too much to drag around. It sounds awful, but it's not uncommon. And that is why this lymph support, purehealthresearch.com, came to be. And I want to tell you, the lymph system is your body's internal drainage network. It moves excess fluid, fats, waste, stuff out of your tissues. And when it slows down, that fluid can build up, especially in your legs and your ankles and your feet. And that is where lymph system support comes in from Pure Health Research. It's got a formula, 8 science-backed ingredients. And this isn't stuff from farm. It's like bromelain, dandelion extract, burdock root, stuff like that, okay? And what it does is it helps people notice their legs feel lighter. They are less swollen. And oftentimes people say they see a slendering, in fact, a slimming of their legs when taking this. Is it something that's right for you? It could be. It could be, because I see people walking around with this all the time. PureHealthResearch.com. Use my name, Wendy. You're going to get 35% off today. This is what it looks like, okay? PureHealthResearch.com. Again, it's one of those things that's not going to be for everybody. I don't have this problem, but I know people who do, and it's very uncomfortable. Why not try? Safe, effective, right? 35% off. Support your body's natural drainage system and feel lighter and more comfortable all year long. I like that. Anyway, it's unusual for us to give so much time in the monologue to something like that, but I couldn't figure out where to put that song because it so perfectly describes everything that's going on today in the show. It's crazy. Have you guys been following this ridiculous nonsense in the WNBA? And I'm not talking about Caitlin Clark. It's so preposterous. It's an embarrassing thing to be a woman right now. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the people in the WNBA. Embarrassed. Right? The whole argument that the athletes should make as much as the professional men's play. I mean, just stop it. Just stop it. Okay? It's obnoxious. We're going to call out the women today. I'm going to call out the no factual information for you. But she really wasn't a huge part of my life. I just always enjoyed how positive she was. She always had a smile. There always felt like there was light around her. Do you know what I mean? Seems like an odd way to describe somebody. But that's my feeling, my vibe when I imagine in my mind Dolly Parton. People couldn't let it go. People on the far right criticizing her, right? I mean, it's nuts. And now we've got people squawking about, oh, Darlene Graham, she won the primary in South Carolina for Senate. And some people are going absolutely nutty. Are you serious? A complete political neophyte whose only claim to fame or to any kind of, I don't know, political capital at all is that her brother was Lindsey Graham, who recently passed away. That's it. Well, tell me how different most of the people in Congress and their political achievements and, I don't know, their CV. Tell me how rich it is. She beats a 5-term incumbent. And I think it's very interesting because this isn't just Darlene Graham winning. This is a victory for President Trump. That's what MAGA just did in South Carolina. It wasn't about Darlene Graham. It wasn't that everybody wanted her. It wasn't that she was the greatest thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to vote for this person. Donald Trump said, please do me a solid. This is a good vote. This is a good person. Imagine it's my name on the ballot, literally. And South Carolina did. Can you imagine how Democrats respond to that kind of influence? They try to pummel him with bad polls. They try to nail him with 95% negative news coverage. They go in and they make up garbage about him because their spying on him didn't yield anything juicy. So they make it up. One witch hunt, one instance of lawfare after another. And the guy is Teflon. Nothing sticks to him, right? And he has the blind loyalty, the left believes, of that MAGA base. That's not what it is. You know, I have an article I can read you here that was kind of interesting, but I'm gonna blow it up and just tell you what I think instead. See, people on the left don't understand that we are more than an acronym. It isn't MAGA. It's about making America great again. It is about a commitment. It's about a vow to the greatest place on planet Earth that has become wayward, that has become confused purposefully. It was meant to be confused so that dark forces could invade while we were so busy arguing with each other over stupid stuff, by and large. And in the cover of darkness, come in, plant seeds, root, take over, and fundamentally change not just the present America, not just the future America, but to rewrite America's past. I'll crawl on broken glass to stop that from happening. I will do whatever it takes every single day that it takes me doing it to stop that from happening. MAGA isn't about Trump. MAGA is about the future that we want to give our children and our grandchildren. It is a wave of patriotism, an army of soldiers without weapons, perhaps, but armed with a love and a pride and an appreciation of country, who sees what's coming down the road and isn't willing to kick it to the next generation. We allowed this mess to settle in our country and to fester in our communities. We were the polite folks who didn't say anything because it's just not what polite people do. But those days are over. And we're going to call you out every single day that you deviate from common sense. It just so happens, as a talk show host, there's endless fodder when that's the basis of your show. The left loses their mind when Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, meets with the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries. And what was a simple conversation has now blown into this next iteration of complete and utter derangement meltdown. You are going to hear it for yourself. My Lord, is it exhausting. Can you imagine waking up every day with your hands clenched in fists and your jaw aching because you're just so deranged? Well, you're going to hear it. We're going to expose it in our effort to weed it out, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I want to talk directly to all of you out there who are involved in, well, we all need to have health insurance. And at this point, it's like 90% of the country does. But a bunch of them are stuck in this garbage Obamacare crap that we all knew was crap from the beginning, which is why no Republicans in the Senate or the House voted for it. None. Okay. And so now the left is bitching about healthcare costs. Well, that's on you. You did that. And so now, of course, we're stuck fixing it, right? But there are opportunities, people who see diamonds in the rough. And Tom Yakupin was one of those guys. He's like, well, wait a minute. Rather than giving people one size fits all that's too expensive and really isn't all of that responsive to your medical needs, why don't we kind of do like an a la carte, pay as you go for what you need sort of a thing? That's what Health Revolution is. info.healthrevolution.net. Please write it down. info.healthrevolution.net. 30 to 60% savings on the premiums. That's what the people are saying that they're getting. That's huge, right? Listen to this. So 2026 enrollments into the Affordable Care Act marketplace, they've plunged by nearly 3 million just so far this year. And this is just August, right? And the premiums, for next year with fewer people paying into the system are going to go up. Cigna Insurance Company is exiting the Affordable Care Act marketplace next year. So what do you think is going to happen? Fewer choices, fewer people participating equals less for more. Enough. 800-868-6187. 800-868-6187. Michael told me he's getting a policy for a couple $100. 26 years old, healthy. I don't need maternity coverage. No, you don't. Thank you, Tom. And thank you to Health Revolution, info.healthrevolution.net. I'm going to switch the battery. This is making me a little bit nervous. Okay. Hopefully that's better for you guys. Let's see. Can I skyhook a battery? Indeed, I can. Can I do it twice without looking? No, you're right.
Jeez. I think you hit the window.
Oh, poo. Like literally I put a Twitter thing out yesterday because I heard it right as it happened that Dolly died. And somebody had clipped, I think Nick Sorter had quickly clipped Fox News. So I just piggybacked off of his clip and I just wrote, well, poop. Poop. Of all people who could die, I would have kept Dolly around for a little while longer, right? And people pile on. It's crazy. I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's what I was telling you about. Apparently, Jelly Roll made this comment about Donald Trump. And people are losing their mind. Like, I'm getting rid of all his music. Like, whatever. If you listen to him for his opinion, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Do I like his music? Sure.
Now, in their defense,
am I going to go see him in concert? No.
I stopped buying anything at Starbucks. I didn't like it to begin with much. But I also stopped. We don't buy Nike.
Neither do I.
And we were delighted when Tennessee switched from Nike to, I think it's Adidas. But yeah, You just do little things like that. I'm not going to buy your products. I don't need to watch your show. Whatever. I don't need to take you home with me and ruminate about how much you suck and have it ruin my personal life.
Right.
And I think literally that's where we are. And it's primarily women. It is just really women. And there's a crisis, guys. It's a serious mental health crisis. And I'm not saying that to be funny. It's not funny. I don't find it at all humorous. Because at some point, Donald Trump is not going to be a driver anymore. He's either going to die, he's going to leave office, he's going to not have influence, he's going to move along. And then what happens to the object of your obsession? There's nothing there to fill it. There's no husband. There's no children. So what is it? Cats? No offense to cats. What are you going to do? Let me tell you, and I know I talked about it yesterday, but I just put it on before the show, the satin balm. This is you see this little squatty jar of body butter, and you're like, how long is that going to last? And then you're like, oh boy. I've been using it for several weeks, and that's how much I've used. And literally, I just take a little bit out, right? And in no time, it literally liquefies in your hands. You heat it up, and you put it on, and it makes your body feel like butter. Okay, I get it now. Got it. Thanks, Tulip Blooms. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, 10% off with my name. And I love their products. Look, the things that's nice about shopping with our sponsors, there's always somebody in your life you'd like to get something special for, you know? And even if a message, if you've never bought Tulip Blooms, you've got somebody who's got a birthday coming up. My friend Wendy talks about this company every day, and I finally had to give it a shot. You're the guinea pig. Report back to me. And I guarantee you, the person you give it to will be like, where did you find this? This is fantastic. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, 10% off. It's called the Satin Balm. And yeah, now I know why. So great. And it smells. Joe caught me smelling my arm yesterday. He's like, are you smelling your skin? And I'm like, I am. He's like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, you don't have time. You don't use Tulip Blooms. Stay away from it, too. It's not for you. I believe I have a pretty rudimentary knowledge of human beings, about behavior, about decisions. I've enjoyed watching my children grow up, so I'm well versed in the world of men. And being a woman, I obviously have insight into some of the stuff going on, but it doesn't make sense to me. So when you're obsessed over something, as so many people in this country have been obsessed over their hatred of Donald Trump, to the point that they literally live with it. They go to sleep with it. They wake up with it. It disrupts their dreams. That he angers their ability to eat. They're so frustrated by it. What happens when the object of your obsession ceases to exist? For instance, if Donald Trump passed away, if he left office, if he walked into the sunset of obscurity after office, and that's coming up in just a couple years, then what? What fills the void? What fills that void? And this is a very cautionary tale to the young women in this country. See, if you put all of the eggs that you have, literally and proverbially, into the basket of ire, of hatred, of derangement, of obsession, right? You're not giving that time to you, to the future, to your happiness, to what I think most people want, and that's to find someone to love unconditionally, to create life with, and raise together. There's going to be a point of no return where that clock has stopped ticking. The possibility isn't there anymore. And there is a cavernous, empty in a lot of young people's worlds. That's coming. Because this crazy is just, it's off the grid. So let's just give you an example. If you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican and we're both in office, or we're both part of a political machine, we got to work together, right? Obviously, the point is the good of the country. It should be. And whether I'm in power or you're in power, we have to be able to talk. We have to be able to work things out for the good of the country. But the derangement has gotten so ridiculous that people like even Hakeem Jeffries, who's arguably, at least now, the most powerful Democrat in the House of Representatives, that him taking a meeting with President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is now reason to lose your ever-loving minds. Oh my gosh, it's a bridge too far. And I'm like, are we all being punked? See, we can't even do that anymore. How many of you have walls up in your relationship with your family members or people who are your closest friends? And now you're like, I don't recognize these people anymore. Well, that's the story. The left totally freaking out over a meeting. CNN with it. And I got a couple of audio clips because it's hilarious, but it's not. But it's not. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries is defending himself after facing some criticism over his meeting with Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law and close advisor. Nobody knows a damn thing about what happened. There was nobody there. There were no eyewitnesses. Nobody had audio of it. It's all people reacting to something they know nothing about. It's all the people reacting to President Trump, whom they've never met. I can just hear what they are told, decide for themselves, and they've decided the guy is a one-man louse, period. And so the meltdown is real, but I want you to hear how crazy it got. These are grown-ups, ladies and gentlemen, and if I'm not mistaken, James Carville is taking center stage here. This guy knows better. He's in his 70s, for heaven's sakes. But unfortunately, being old does not mean you're wise. Here's Jesse Waters with this ridiculous meltdown on the left over this meeting. Listen.
Oh boy, the Cajuns raging.
In the opinion of every Democrat in the United States, progressive, moderate, middle of the road, left, I don't know, whatever you want, we believe one thing above all. These people are a pack of felons and traitors. And you do not meet with them. You do not meet with them. These people.
Cantankerous Carville not crying about the commies, Abdul, or even Angie. He's screaming at Hakeem. Hips just committed a cardinal sin. He met with a Trumper. The Times reporting Hakeem took a secret meeting with Jared Kushner to find some common ground. They met in a private room in Manhattan, and we got the scoop. Jared reached out to Hips to brief him on the Middle East and to try to get him to meet with Susie Wiles to talk budget. Hips turned around and leaked the meeting to make it look like the White House thinks the Democrats are going to win back the House. But his spin backfired. D.C. Democrats are calling Hakeem effing dumb.
I don't want to work with fascists. I don't want to collaborate with fascists. There is no working with criminals. We need to hear from future Speaker Jeffries immediately. Why are you meeting with Jared Kushner?
Hakeem went into hiding for 24 hours. He was nowhere to be found. No one knew where he was. Everybody from the commies to the establishment were demanding Hips show his face. So Hips threw on a fit and started spitting bars.
What's up, y'all? Just finished up an event here in the community in Brooklyn. I want to give you a little real talk on this Jared Kushner situation. He asked for a meeting, and I took it to discuss the affordability crisis that exists that is not a hoax.
Does he talk slow because he thinks his voters are dumb? And why does he look like a leprechaun?
Why is this news? Why is this news? By the way, Brock, do you know why they call him Hips? Hakeem Jeffries?
No.
I didn't either. So I searched for it. Apparently, he photoshopped a picture of himself where he's kind of leaning against a park bench. And he did something to Photoshop his hips so that the park bench, like the rungs of it, are distorted and warped, like he was trying to give himself a bigger backside or something. I have no idea.
What?
I have no idea. This is what they're focused on in the nation's capital. And we are shocked that our country is $40 trillion in freaking debt. What the heck is going on? Remember that yesterday's talk about fake polls. Well, there's some ridiculous fake stories going on, and thehill.com is pushing one of them. This is the title of it. A MAGA plot to keep power in Congress if they lose the election. Are you kidding me? We've got nothing to talk about. Nothing at all. So we have to do dreamscape suppositions. What if I think it's going to happen? Those are the stories we're talking about. That if Democrats actually win and regain control of the House of Representatives, that the process is supposed to go in a certain way. And all of a sudden, the Republicans are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. See, that's funny. That's not what Republicans do. That's what Democrats do. So when lefty publications like The Hill tell you, seems like that's what's going to happen, you can bet your bank the Democrats would do the same thing. This is the news of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that Hakeem Jeffries had a conversation with a Trump member. Got it. Jesse comes back quickly to say Hakeem now feeling the socialist, communists breathing down his neck. Oh my, the Democrats have so much more to worry about than President Trump.
The party has hips on a pretty tight leash. He takes a meeting with a member of the Trump family to cut a deal on lowering prices, and he has to shoot a hostage video from his hood. Now, if the Democrats win the House, is Hakeem not going to be allowed to talk to the White House? It's not like he's knocking back bourbons with Miller in Mar-a-Lago. He's talking to Jared. It's the same guy he worked with to pass criminal justice reform. These guys talk here and there. They met last year. Hamas can talk to Jared, but Hakeem can't. The TDS is so toxic, they'd rather get Trump than get anything done for the American people.
That is the takeaway. What do they do for you? What has Congress done for you? And look, the Democrats are bad enough. These are the people who were led by a white-dressed Nancy Pelosi, who proceeded to rip up President Trump's State of the Union, a grown woman in her 70s, leading by example and showing the rest of the country what petty, petulant, prepubescent garbage politics has devolved into on Capitol Hill. This is where you get a chamber where only half of the people in it will rise and applaud a young man fighting brain cancer, or applaud the family of young women who were brutally murdered by illegal aliens. They sat on their hands. They couldn't even for a moment check their humanity. Because fighting, resisting Trump is all that matters. It's diagnosable. It is dangerous. And here's what we're watching that we're going to have to talk about coming up in the show. This toxic feminism, which is, I believe, at the crux of so much of this TDS. It's all going to fall apart, ladies and gentlemen. The pillars of all of the woke mumbo jumbo that the leftist ladies have been groomed in school to gobble down. And then they graduate with no skills, worthless degrees, lots of debt, and anger. And it's got a wonderful, wonderful well to dip back into. All the while, if these are leaders, nothing happens for America. It's unacceptable. Grow up. Get help. Interventions, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. How do you do it? How do I have that conversation with my sister about your toxic Trump hating views and why you secretly hate me because I voted for the man 3 times? How's that? Is that a good icebreaker? Should we start there? Any ideas, anyone? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, radical feminism doesn't seem to be making women any happier. Adam Carolla with an absolute beatdown, and it's smart. It's smart because it's common sense. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Literally, that was the story. That's why they were so excited that Dolly Parton died. Oh, thank God we got something to talk about. We don't have to make crap up. Hakeem Jeffries in a meeting. And why is he dressed like a leprechaun? Does he have to look so stupid? Like, honestly, it's like all these frying pan moments to the face where you're like, you can't not see it, right? Let me tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Dr. Simkovich and his wife, in fact, Stacy, are a formidable pair. She manages the practice and he fixes people who've been injured. People who've suffered concussions, traumatic brain injuries, people with chronic suffering, headaches, tremors, things like that, neurological issues. Dr. Simkovich can feel them in your soft palate. It's the craziest thing, and I watched it. The healing process. It's real. It happens faster than you might think. But the guy I would trust, I got a guy. His name is Dr. Charles Simkovich. 412-366-3700. And you're like, why would I call a 412 number? That's Pennsylvania. I don't live in Pennsylvania. Would you take a week off of work to come here and to have your life cured, have it all fixed so you could get back on track? SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. Extra primo good. He is phenomenal. I don't know. I'm sitting back and I look at some of the conversations I have had with my sister that have been ridiculously opposed. Talk about guns, talk about any number of things. And she's incapable of defending her point of view, as a lot of people are. And it gets to be, you start fighting and it's an attack. And then once it's an attack, then there's that moment where they know that they can't win. And so they slough you off. I'm not going to waste my time on you is code for I don't have the tools to win this argument because the tools I have are broken. And that's kind of where we are. And so what do I do? Interesting conundrum. And I have another one in the family with a cousin. You're not having people back in your life, I don't think, are you?
No.
And you're okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, you kind of get to that point where you have to.
Well, they did it themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have a conversation, but they became so toxic towards me. I couldn't go near them without them going after me. So it's just like, why am I even showing up? This is dumb.
Going after you in person while you were there, like they would gang up on you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I'd just be like, whatever, like.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, at what point do I sit there and go, I can't even go and have dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. I mean, they defriended me on Facebook because I questioned. Whatever.
Yeah, but see, when all this stuff is unraveled and people start seeing the truth, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people left behind. When you feel like you've been scammed, it's a terrible feeling. They're going to wake up from a major, major monster 15-year scam. Or they don't. I don't know.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be in my life? I mean, they're lost. Oh my God.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. It seems, and I pay attention to this vis-a-vis news cycles, but obviously because of what I do and who I've been for the last 30 odd years. And that's a broadcaster, primarily television news, anchored and reported for many, many years. And now the last 7 or so years doing radio. One of the things that I've noticed is the news stories about toxic feminism have become increasingly more absurd. Like, you think it's absurd that a guy would jump in pool and swim with a bunch of girls and pretend to be a girl and beat the snot out of all of them. But that wasn't a joke. It actually happened. And that wasn't enough to wake up enough people. And then it goes on. And then it's, abortion. Well, don't you tell a woman what to do with her body. And it wasn't just, let's have a reasonable conversation about that. It's like, no, if I have a full-term baby and I want to abort that, that's okay. That just got signed into law in Massachusetts. You would think that would be a wake-up for a lot of people. And then you see this Lindsay Clancy trial where women dressed in pink swooning for the admitted murderer of her own children. Is that enough to wake up people about the toxic femininity that has destroyed a generation of women? I don't know. But it's not just through my female eyes that I see this, because it's obvious. Adam Carolla, he's a comedian, so he's funny, first of all. But I also very much appreciate the things that he says in candor. And he's like, look, hiring more women isn't making America better. In fact, just look at the boobs who are running Los Angeles, right? We've gone so far beyond the parameters of let's give more people an opportunity to. We're going to actively not hire the dude who's talented, right? In favor of this woman over here who's not, but she allows us to check a box and say we're such good people because we hire in a diverse fashion. Adam Carolla is like, if you want to see the end game of that, you want to see how that works in your community, just come to Los Angeles.
This is my next revelation. My next unpopular thought is the gyno-fascism stuff. Los Angeles is just run by dumb women, and they've ruined it. And it's essentially this notion that we need more women in positions of power is destroying the fucking country. Again, it makes everyone angry. Whatever I said about COVID made people angry. Doesn't mean it wasn't correct. I shall be correct on this one as well. It's happening, and it's going to happen. I tell people all the time, they go like, well, yeah, but what about Margaret Thatcher? This is the same as saying, well, yeah, what about the black kid who never met his father who ended up at Princeton? Yeah, okay. Not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying statistically it's a shit show, and that's where we're heading with the gyno-fascism.
Gyno-fascism. I think it's a fascinating term. Look, I'm a woman. I think all women inherently are feminist in some capacity, but I don't believe in choosing one person over another based on anything other than inherent skill, merit, qualifications, I don't know, heart, work ethic, all that good old-fashioned stuff, right? And they took us on this path, and look, it doesn't pay off. You don't say. Adam Carolla hops back on. He's got professor and behavioral scientist Gad Saad. I think that's how you say his name. He's the author of Suicidal Empathy. And he's like, look, women have been empowered while men have been delegitimized. They've been skipped over. They've been discounted. And they've been told to stay quiet. How's that working as a social experiment, everybody?
I feel like women have been emboldened and encouraged, and actually men have been told they're toxic and their masculinity is toxic. No more rough and tumble play, quiet, let the women talk. And by the way, women, you can say whatever you want as loud as you want, and the louder you say it, the bigger the fan we are of you, and we will repay you for being loud and bold. And they seem to have taken that and run with it.
Well, that's the parasitic idea of radical feminism, right? And so let me explain the difference between equity feminism and radical equity feminism is simply the idea that men and women should be treated equally under the law. There should be no institutional, discrimination against one sex or the other. Based on that definition, then I'm sure that both you and I would put our hands up and say, yeah, okay, sign me up. I'm an equity feminist. Radical feminists then come along and say, it's not enough for us to achieve parity under the the legal framework. In order for us to truly squash the patriarchal sexist status quo, we have to promulgate the idea that men and women are indistinguishable from each other. Well, once I internalize that message, that's what then allows me to have these fights between girls. Because there was a time when we realized that there are certain masculine traits that women desire in men, and there are certain feminine traits that men desired in women, and that's how nature endowed us with these sex differences. Once we try to erase these, that's how you end up with the kind of tragedies that we have.
100% correct. Look at this whole idea that we need to give more opportunities to people who aren't normally in positions like, oh, I don't know, African-American pilots, right? Well, let's just open the door and we'll just say, 50% of all of our next pilots are going to be black. Well, that doesn't change the fact that they're not going to school to do that. They're not being trained to do that. The opportunity isn't there for them to do that. So what are you fixing? You're running cover for whatever you're not accomplishing personally. That's the God's honest truth. If you thought the WNBA was ridiculous before, get some popcorn. It's getting worse. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Look, this isn't a slamming female. I'm not trying to slam women. I'm just drawing it out into the public and being like, these people, a lot of these toxic females are causing so many problems. And if we could just deal with that or be like, you're not relevant in polite society anymore. Go somewhere else. We'd all be so much happier, right? They all bitch about stuff, but they're not doing anything of any value. That's how I see it. It's an excellent excuse for being lazy, being a victim. If you're a victim, nobody expects you to do anything except bitch.
I think a lot of women too just assume men aren't pro woman. Like they just assume it. I've told this story before. Back in the way back, probably 10 years ago, there was a change in the radio station I was working at, and all I had said in a meeting for the boss, for the program director was, have you guys thought about hiring a woman? Half our listenership are women.
Right.
And you're ignoring, a female driven. And I had this conversation. They control the purchase power in the majority of homes. They're the ones out buying. And a friend of Kate's was talking to her. She's like, oh, yeah, Brock was advocating for a female boss. And she's like, really? I'm surprised. And Kate was like, why? She's like, it's Brock. I'm surprised he's pro-woman. She's like, why would you say that? Like, he's always been pro-woman.
How about pro-quality? How about whoever you are and however you look, right, do what you do extraordinarily well. Make that your life's mission. Aside from the stuff that you do at home, whatever your job is, do it the best of your ability. If everybody did that,
Look, I work for a woman.
Would we be bitching all the time about everything? Probably. All right, I want to talk to you guys. Who do I want to talk about? Pineal Guardian X. So you've heard me talking about this gland, and it's very small, probably like the size of your eraser on a pencil, and it's in your brain, and it can get clouded. It can get a buildup of like a film on it, if you will, based on just what you eat, what you drink, medicines you take. It's kind of natural. It happens. And this buildup over time on this pineal gland, which controls melatonin. It's really the secret of your circadian rhythm, how you sleep. This particular tiny gland and the stuff that we eat and drink and what have you creates this film. Pineal Guardian X gets rid of that film so you get clarity. You lose the fog, you lose the forgetfulness, the walking into a room and being like, what the heck did I come in here for? I do it at least 4 times a day. But it also, don't think that your lack of good sleep is just because you're getting older. it could be very much a buildup of plaque and other, I don't know if plaque's the right word for it, but schmutz on your pineal gland. That's what this Pineal Guardian X does. I'm excited by it. I think it's very interesting. If the things that I'm saying to you kind of register and hit, you might say to yourself, well, what's this product? Well, let me tell you. Hold on. I got to get into this one thing because I want to give you the promo code for it because they're giving you a really nice discount. It's rated 4.9 stars, this Pineal Guardian X. 630 plus reviews, 50,000 people we know of currently taking it. You get up to 41% off, plus an extra 15% using my name. It's Nutraville, Nutraville.com, Nutraville.com/Wendy Bell. Okay? This gland, what's in this product is essentially lion's mane, Bacopa monnieri, ginkgo biloba, and more, and it's made to support pineal gland health, which is great. Is this something that would affect you? Maybe so. Is it worth it? Up to 41 and an extra 15% off to give it a try. 365-day money back guarantee. You got no risk here. Give it a shot. Nutraville.com/Wendy Bell. I think things like this are, like my mother-in-law is 82. And she complains about how poorly she sleeps. And no matter what she tries, it does not work. I would love to be able to say, I think you should try this. It's got these natural ingredients in it. It might really help because she wouldn't do it. She'd be like, a doctor's wife. I don't know why. I guess some people aren't really open to the world of supplements or other things. But I think
people just assume there's a pill for everything.
that's why I like the supplement process because these are not pharma products.
Can I defend women for a second?
Yeah.
Not that you need my defending. For all the people in there saying, I don't work with women, I'll walk, and women in politics, you're judging by a huge thing. You all come here and listen to a woman for 3 hours a day.
Well, I mean.
But that's the thing. Like, do I want to work for a man that's an asshole? No, I did that.
Worst boss I ever had was a woman.
What's that?
The worst boss I ever had was a woman. And I think because
not me,
because she felt as though she needed to be a hard ass. So, or you could just be a reasonable manager of people and be fair.
Men in media are like women, right? Every stereotype you have, the cattiness, the talking behind people's back, the little clicks, that is men in media.
It's like never leaving the hair salon.
Yeah, no doubt.
Seriously, I mean that.
But don't generalize. There are women out there that are fantastic. Kate's a boss, and I think she's fantastic at her job. She tries to be compassionate, but will also just say, you're fired.
Right.
You know, like I hate the generalization of women. Best boss I ever worked for sits right across from me. Only woman I've ever worked for. See, I paid you a compliment. Well, thought that might get me a raise. Guess not.
I just see what's coming, and it's the collateral damage is ugly. It doesn't end well, and it's alarming. And this WNBA nonsense.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of gold, truth, and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. You know, I wrote a paper in college after reading a book by a man named Louis Yablonsky. I cannot believe this just popped into my head because it has absolutely nothing to do with where I'm going, but I wanted to say this to you anyway. And Louis Yablonsky was a sociologist in the 60s, and he hung around the hippie movement and all this stuff. He did a study and wrote a book called Black Like Me. So he had developed, or someone had developed, pills, some kind of a medicine that darkened his skin, or he was talking about doing that. And he wanted to go out and he wanted to experience life as a black person and not a white person. And I wrote a story based on, I wrote a paper on this study on this man, Louis Yablonsky, and Black Like Me. And he did. He ended up dying, if I'm not mistaken, of whatever this chemical was that he took. I think he ended up dying shortly thereafter. But he talked about what he experienced, how different the world was to him when his skin changed color. And I got scolded in my paper by my professor at the University of Colorado, most liberal school ever in the universe, right? And he was like, look, Wendy, you didn't really go very deep on this. You didn't really give me anything on this. You kind of gave it lip service. I didn't want to have to take a side because I wanted to get a good grade. And so I dug in and I rewrote my paper and I boiled down the majority of what I believe ails people. And it's not what somebody else looks like. It's not what somebody else does. It's their own insecurity. Literally, that's it. That's the secret sauce. That's the gland that controls it all. When you're comfortable with who you are, with what you're doing, you don't need other people to tell you who you are. You don't buckle when people criticize you. You're not offended when they disagree with you. You're not insistent that everybody get in line and say what you say and act as you act and do as you do. You're tolerant of other people. You're more flexible. You know who you are because you've earned that. You've created that. You've worked towards that. That is why getting older, though we fight it, is such a blessing, because there is a peace, there is a clarity in knowing exactly who you are and not needing to pretend to anybody. This WNBA debacle, you know, kudos to women who are professional athletes. I think it's wonderful. The inability of the people in the Women's National Basketball Association to describe and to be able to define what a woman is an embarrassing side effect of this woke, liberal, crazy. And it's well past time we moved on from it. We know a man is different than a woman. We know the differences. And yet the WNBA does not. And so now we hear that Congressman Matt Gaetz, former Congressman Matt Gaetz, is threatening to sue the WNBA on behalf of a former NBA player who identifies as transgender now and wants to play in the women's league. Oh, that's outrageous. Really? Is it? Then describe what your policy is. What is a man? What is a woman? Stop trying to dance in the middle. Stop trying to be college Wendy, who didn't want to piss anybody off and just wanted to get a good grade. Tell us what you think, because you know the answer. Former Representative Matt Gaetz warned the NBA to prepare for possible legal action after reports that former NBA players Royce White and Ines Kanter Freedom will not be allowed to enter the league's draft. You need to fight stupid and crazy and indefensible with something that's just as stupid and indefensible. For every action must be an equal and opposite reaction. And that's what this is. This is the frying pan to the face. Oh, yeah? Do you not know how stupid it is for you to just disavow transgender women, who by definition are men, from playing in the WNBA? If you're not going to allow real, obvious men to play in the WNBA, right? I want you to hear how dumb this has become, because now we've got former NBA player Royce White with just beautiful, luscious hair. He says he's being discriminated against after the WNBA reportedly denied his eligibility to join the league.
Could this culminate in you actually playing in the WNBA?
It better. Why wouldn't they let me play? It's completely bigoted to deny my trans existence.
It's the most ridiculous thing you've heard. And yet it's 100% spot on. Why should he not be able to say it, but some other dude can? Why can Will Thomas say, you can't deny my trans, visibility? I demand to be treated like a woman, like I am. Forget my penis. Right? This is what Royce White said. NBA player, former NBA. As a black trans lesbian, the rumors of denial for my multi-spirit existence are concerning. I'd also like to remind everyone that there is a trans genocide taking place right now in America. These kinds of casual comments lead to violence and our deaths. Now, you can look at that as parody, or you can say that's exactly how transgender athletes and others, that's exactly what they've said. So where does your line of crazy get drawn? To tell a black trans woman she's not a woman, or that the trans experience is a stunt, is transphobic, it is bigoted, and it is racist. So let her play. I mean, let Royce White, let her play. It's ridiculous, isn't it? The Twitter summary of this particular post here states that no actual trans athletes are involved. That's not true. The only qualifier for being a transgender woman in this era of complete crazy, brought on, by the way, by the white, toxic, college-educated female liberal scourge in this country, the only identifying characteristic of being a transgender woman is being a man. Think about it. That's what the word means. So when a 6'8" former NBA dude declares black trans lesbian multi-spirit, and the league suddenly remembers biology exists, then of course the whole ideology collapses in real time. We're at the precipice of that here in the story of crazy with the WNBA. And it takes two dudes standing up and doing exactly this, and a former congressman who I dare say is smarter than all of these other people combined, to say, I'll sue you. I'll take you to court, so that the ridiculosity of this entire premise of men pretending to be women and women pretending to be men can finally be blown up once and for all and sent out into the atmosphere where it deserves. But it takes something as completely ridiculous as this. Now, to their credit, Royce White isn't yucking it up about this. This isn't some hilarious joke to him. The guys aren't slamming, six-pack in the back of a car laughing about this. They're saying this is what's necessary for us to save our country, and we'll do our part to do that. Matt Gaetz says if you want to let some people in but not all, that's a definition of discrimination. And isn't that what this whole ridiculous farce is supposed to avert? Discrimination. Everybody can be anything they want. And they can fail miserably in so doing. Just one example. And I should say, by the way, I don't think Matt Gaetz is necessarily kidding around. Because he has written, the WNBA should preserve all its records in anticipation of litigation after former NBA player Royce White has been denied access to the WNBA. That's where we are. Meanwhile, we've got a war with Iran. We've got prices still out of control. We've got serious issues removing criminal illegal aliens. There are still 300,000 missing migrant kids who are likely being sex trafficked and abused as we speak. And this, like the Dolly Parton story, is where we spend our oxygen. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, all those free thinkers over there in Hollywood, they sure do demand a lot of uniformity. Actress Patricia Heaton, remember her from Everybody Loves Raymond? She shares a very interesting moment before COVID when conservatives in Hollywood realized their days were numbered. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh, by the way, the Chicago Sky is just banned Inez Cantor Freedom from their arena. The team stated he's demonstrated to us that he is a potential threat. Really? How's protecting women and purchasing $1,000 seats at a game that most people never go to and certainly wouldn't watch, right? How is that threatening in any way? It threatens the narrative, is what they should have said, right? What are these women going to do when these pillars of toxic femininity crumble like all the others? What are they going to be left with? There's not going to be a man there. There's not going to be kids there. There's not going to be joy there. Security, happiness, peace. I wish that for all people. Because the happier other people are, the more they leave you alone. Right? Bloodflow7.com. I took mine already today. Every day. I take it first thing in the morning. Bloodflow7.com. As I am married to an interventional cardiologist whose job is to stent people. So to put a wire through usually the radial artery and string it down into the blood vessels around the heart. And he identifies blockages in the heart. And then he deploys these balloons, these stents that go, and then they open up. And as they open up, the plaque that's formed inside, creating that blockage, the blood flow whoosh, pushes the blockage through. And immediately the patient on the table is like, oh my gosh. Like literally immediately blood flow matters. And if yours slows down, you slow down. So if you're sluggish, if you notice that you don't have the stamina that you once did, that carrying that laundry basket up a flight of stairs now has you huffing and puffing, and you're like, I haven't done anything. What's wrong? Try bloodflow7.com from Juvenon. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All this is literally is a gas molecule that kind of acts like that stent. It relaxes the muscle, the blood vessel, and it goes, and then more blood flows through, and you feel fantastic. And you sleep like a boulder. I'm just going to say, no afternoon crashing anymore, no naps, just attention, strength, stamina, all that stuff that you had when you were younger. You get it back. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off, less than $1 a day. Seriously. I know you've been thinking about it and you're like, ugh, it can't be that good. Yeah, it can. Actually, it can. And it is. Honest. Let's see how you guys are doing. Let's see. We have 1.42. All right. Thank you. 3,700 people watching. Hi. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. And we've got almost 500 on X. That's very impressive, you guys.
Up.
Well, I will say we had that one day where we had like 40,000 people watching and we were like, what's going on? And it just went haywire. But that's a huge gauge for me. It's a huge gauge for me. I wanted 600 yesterday at the end and we almost got it. Looks like today we might. Thank you very much if you're watching on X.
By the way, we have to put together a basket for the golf outing.
Oh, we have to. Okay.
I have to. It's below your pay grade.
Well, I don't really know not being familiar with what is expendable merchandise that we can add to it. I don't know what you want to do. Are there any wine glasses? Is there a set of coasters?
Yeah.
I like the coasters. I love the coasters. I've tried to explain it, and I think I've failed, sadly. And that sucks because this is what I do for a living. But I think you get to a point with polite society where the rules end. And when people drop the gloves and they're like, I've had it. I've had it. And I think we're close. I don't think we're there. I think these crazy things that are going on, that it seems like it's more unbelievable every day. It leads me to believe that it's happening. But if I hear somebody in public anymore saying something loudly that's not true, whether it's about Trump or a vaccine or a virus or immigration or what have you, I'm not going to have much problem anymore saying something that's factually incorrect. You should get your facts straight or tone down your volume. Of course, my family would be aghast. Mom, shut up. That's so rude. No. We've listened to you blow V8. We've listened to your wand waving. We've listened to your pants on fire. This is what's going on. Oh my God. And everything that they've said to us has been garbage. Every course of action they've proposed has sucked. Every result has been poor. And I'm freaking tired of it. That's what Make America Great Again is. It is an exact stamp of repudiation against all of the people who've been wrong. Okay? All of them who've been wrong, who want you not to forgive them, but who want you to forget about it. Just let's forget about that. Let's forget that I said that. No. See, this has been going on for a long, long time. This weird, brazen ballsiness of a triggered toxic left. And Patricia Heaton, actress, conservative, talks about well before COVID how conservatives in Hollywood were covertly meeting and identifying one another in crowds as being part of this like conservative contingency, a very small group, because God knows everybody in Hollywood follows the leader. You know, all of those people who are supposed to be actors, who are supposed to be, talented people, they all follow the leader except for a handful. And Patricia Heaton shared on a podcast how they identified one another in the days well before COVID. Listen.
In Hollywood at that time, especially when Obama was president, it was kind of like Democrats ruled, and there were a lot of people that felt like they couldn't say anything who were conservative. And we ended up having to make a secret group. Did anybody tell you about this? Has anybody talked to you about it? Called FOA, Friends of Abe, as in Abraham Lincoln. So, if you're in Alcoholics Anonymous and you want to find out if somebody else is in it, you say, are you a friend of Bill? Because Bill Wilson started. If you were gay in the 40s in Hollywood, they would say, oh, is he a friend of Dorothy? It's in The Wizard of Oz. Right. So ours was Abraham Lincoln, who was our first Republican president. So we were friends of Abe. So you could say to somebody, are you a friend of Abe? Or are you FOA? And if they said, yeah, then you knew there was another conservative or independent or someone who is not a Democrat that you could talk to without feeling like you were going to get in trouble at your job.
Anyone not sort of in the cult? Well, cult. I would call it the cult.
Yeah. It was actually Gary Sinise approached me and my husband and said, hey, would you guys host just a couple people to come over? And it was like Kelsey Grammer and John Voight and Ben Shapiro. And
what I would have done to be there.
Yes. And he was like, how many people are you thinking? It'll be 20 people, 30 tops. So 80 people later, we had at our house.
Whoa.
And so it was really fun. And all it was fellowship. We weren't raising money for candidates. We didn't go protest anything. It was just to go hang out, be able to talk freely without worrying about losing your job, and to let other people know who was safe on a set. So people would come to these FOA meetings and they would see people that they worked with and they were like, you're FOA. And they'd be like, oh, you're FOA.
My God.
So, because nobody would talk. If you were a conservative Republican or libertarian, you wouldn't talk about it.
You know, those days are over, though. You wouldn't talk about it if you were a conservative because you didn't want everybody to pile on. You didn't want to be blackballed from positions, from roles, from jobs, from opportunities, from friendships. And people are crazy enough to do that, right? This groupthink mentality, which I wish we could break early on in school, in elementary school, if we could intervene before kids become so malleable that they will say or do whatever it takes to fit in, to not stand out and be the oddball, to not be different. We're saying, no, you can be different. We want you to be different. We want you to dream and to create and to build and to come up with things nobody has thought about. And you know where that doesn't happen? In the silo of where everybody else is sharing the same ideas. You be you. Early 2000s wasn't allowed. Wasn't allowed in Hollywood. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Senator Lisa Murkowski says she's not going to vote for the Save America Act because it's going to make registering to vote in these remote Alaskan areas impossible. So journalist James O'Keefe went and tried to do it. Oh my goodness. Next. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. A little juvenile, but fantastic. And I get it. Texas Bullion Exchange, WendyLovesGold.com. Precious metals. You don't have to know about gold and silver. You don't have to follow the value on the ticker. It doesn't have to be on your toolbar, right? For you to know that when you hold something tangible like a chunk of gold or a brick or a bar of silver, right? I have a brick of silver and it's heavy. It's so heavy and cool and it feels freaking delicious. I'm telling you, holding precious metals in your hand is really exciting. But it's also exciting when you have them in your retirement plan. You could have a gold-backed IRA, lickety-split without much fanfare or hassle simply by calling our people. 855-927-5557. This is our company. This is who I use. This is who I trust. And there are gobs of gold people out there who want your business. These guys, I think the thing that sets them apart, WendyLovesGold.com at Texas Bullion Exchange, is they're almost nerds about the history of investing and gold and right the all of it. They want to educate you and they want a long-time relationship with you, not just some sale and bye-bye. 855-927-5557. Ask about how you can get 6% in free silver. WendyLovesGold.com. What was I trying to say? They know the history of the whole process that got us off the gold standard. And they taught me, and I was like, oh, I had no idea. So much fun to learn from them. And to have some cool gold and silver in your hands is pretty legit. All right, where are we? I've come to realize, Brock, that a lot of the stuff I jot down in the rundown here is just, I don't get to it, but it like helps my train of thought as I plan. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it's there for, right?
Yeah. Well, what's your take on this WNBA stuff? I mean, are you seeing it the way I'm seeing? Like, we have to go to this ridiculous extreme to call out your ridiculous extreme?
I have to show you how ridiculous your point is by making a counter argument that is just as ridiculous. Because if you agree, if you feel that way about the WNBA and these guys are, trannies should be allowed, then you obviously are not logical thinking. You don't have logical thinking to say, if it's got an apple, it's got a banana. It's not a chick.
I feel for my sons in many ways. None of them has a relationship. Well, the twins have little girlfriends from high school and whatnot, and that's great, whatever. But never really anything all of that significant and serious. And my oldest son, Michael, I mean, he's like, it's
You
tough.
know what?
It's tough.
It gets to the point where you have to wait. You're almost like, I'm done. It might be a benefit. I'm done with the BS where, you used to overlook things. right? And now you're like, no, I want what I want, and I'm not willing to compromise on what I want.
Right.
So that's probably the benefit for Toolsy is that he's seen the crazy. You know, a lot of people don't see the crazy till after it's too late. You know, and at least he knows going in that this is what I want. This is what I expect of myself. This is what I expect from a partner. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing.
And isn't having a partner also about feeling comfortable with you?
Oh,
like
well, it all starts with it.
I mean,
you know,
there-
not to be a philosopher, but it all starts with you. If you aren't happy with who you are, you're not.
Nobody's gonna
one's-
change
that
that.
whole thing. You make me happy is it might be a nice thing to say, but it's total
You're not going to marry
bunk.
somebody who's going to change how you feel about you.
Change, Tiger. You know,
You've got to do that.
yes, no woman is ever going to change a man. They might think so, but no.
They might.
You are who you are. Now, when you embrace that, is completely different than someone might not. You might not change someone. You might bring something out in someone, but change them. I don't know. You are who you are.
I agree. You know, I also believe that a lot of people, they're watching friends of theirs shrink down. It seems everybody who's losing weight, everybody looks at them and they're like, they must be taking one of those shots. Well, a lot of people don't want to take a shot. A lot of people can't afford a shot, but need help getting over that plateau of weight loss and want something that's safe, that's effective, that they can take every day, that does it slowly so they can control it. I've got it. It's GLP-1 Gold. This is the big weight loss product by Juvenon, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All the products on the page are 30% off. This is very specific. It's a dietary supplement, kills your appetite. Just kills your appetite. I'm going to say that. It makes you not want to eat, makes you not crave stuff. And so you can focus on other things like maybe exercise. People are losing drastic weight by taking a capsule, not an injection. If this is something that appeals to you and you want to learn more, please learn more. You're going to love our friends at Juvenon. I adore them. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I take it every day, right? And I will tell you, it helps me skip a meal. You skip a meal. It's amazing how that helps. Or I don't even know where I could go back. When would we have been exposed to how many of our lawmakers on Capitol Hill suck? I mean, truly. What was the D-Day on our discovery? What was our discovery day? For a lot of people, it was January 6th. You know, how much attention did you really pay to politics? I didn't really. I was busy. I was raising my family. I was working multiple jobs. I was trying to come home, make dinner, go over homework, get kids bathed. What else do we have to do? There's baseball, there's soccer. Oh my gosh, so-and-so has a birthday party. I'm not paying attention to Congress. And then January 6th happened. And then they rode January 6th like a rented mule. And they tried to badger and beat what I saw to be patriotic Americans who got caught in the crossfire of a cover-up of a stolen election. And then I started paying attention to how people spoke in Congress and how they voted in Congress. And we started paying attention to their liberty scores. And we started asking questions like, wait a minute, if you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, why do you vote with Democrats 80% of the time, Lisa Murkowski? Why do you do that, Susan Collins? It might be more than that. It's like 90% of the time. These GOP senators vote with the Democrats. That's conduct unbecoming. Except the system exists in such a way that you can't carve these people out. You've got ranked choice voting. You've got other things going on in different states, and it makes it virtually impossible to get rid of an incumbent. That system has to change. And we got our eyes on Alaska. Senator Lisa Murkowski has consistently said she is a no on the Save America Act because she alleges it's going to disenfranchise remote Alaskans. Okay. The population of Alaska, right? It's about 737,000 people, of whom, let's see, about a third live remotely. It is a remote place. You think that all of a sudden they're not going to know how to register to vote? They're not going to know how to cast a ballot, right? Lisa Murkowski wants you to believe that it would be so difficult for somebody in a remote island somewhere in Alaska to make that trip, because the only way they could register is if they went to Anchorage. And that's like an 8-hour drive and a 4-hour flight and thousands of dollars. And oh my gosh, it's impossible. And then all of a sudden it's a threat to democracy. Forgot about it. And we're like, wait a minute. How did that just happen? James O'Keefe, independent journalist, decides to do what no journalist does, work. And he traveled to a remote area, the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, to see, is it actually going to be extraordinarily cumbersome for this SAVE Act to accommodate people and ensure, in fact, that only registered citizens or rather citizens of America are registered and voting? Let's find out, because this is uncomfortable for the senator.
O'Keefe, and I'm in the middle of absolutely nowhere, about 800 miles off the coast of Alaska, on a remote island in the Aleutian Islands. So there's actually a flight going to and from Anchorage every day on this island. Aleutian Airways twice a day, coming from Anchorage and then going back. Now, Senator Lisa Murkowski says that one of the reasons she's not going to pass the SAVE Act is because of people that live here on this island of Unalaska.
What we're talking about right now is just the registration to vote. So you're in Unalaska, say you're a fisherman or a teacher. The flight to Anchorage, because this is where you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go into Anchorage, 800 air miles, $1,100 per seat if you can maybe get on a charter.
Senator Murkowski saying if the SAVE Act passes, online registration goes away, and the residents here, the few thousand people that live here, are going to have to fly 800 miles and spend thousands of dollars to go to Anchorage to take care of their business. But all the people we spoke with here, they all said that that's wrong, including the post office, the library, the city clerk, the DMV. We didn't know there was a DMV here. Everyone we spoke to here said they're able to register to vote here. They're able to prove citizenship by going to the library. So Senator Murkowski says if you're a fisherman in Unalaska, the closest election office is 800 miles away. It would cost $1,500. You would also need a hotel, cabs, and food while in Anchorage. But the librarian just told us differently.
I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the process to get an ID.
We do passport here.
Oh, you do passports here.
Mm.
That's good to know, though, that if somebody wants to confirm their citizenship, they can do it here.
And to get the Alaska ID, do you get it here or back in Anchorage?
No, here. The DMV should be near the police station.
So we don't have to go to Anchorage to get...
No.
Oh.
As long as you have all the paperwork that they need.
But I read in the newspaper that the senator said, oh, they're going to pass this SAVE Act and everyone's got to go to Anchorage to get it.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. Okay.
But the SAFE Act requires every person to prove their citizenship.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so you're able to do that here.
Yes.
Let's say you were trained to process like voter registrations. Would you think you'd be able to do that?
Yeah, we can do that here.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
You do voter registrations here?
At the library.
Yeah, at here or anybody can.
That's so convenient. You can just do it at the library.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Anchorage. Huh.
They told us that we can register to vote there, prove citizenship there, even said go to the DMV. So that's where we're going to go.
In the tiny Aleutian Islands, look at that. There's a system where it works. Lisa Murkowski knows that. Lisa Murkowski knows that. Murkowski is a fraud who knows that she can only win illegally, right? So you've got a population in Alaska of 737. about 240 remote villages and communities, with 64% of eligible voters voting in the last presidential election in 2024. And that's compared with 65% of national voter participation rate. So 64% of Alaskans, even though a lot of them live remotely, far from a lot of other people, hundreds of miles away from their nearest neighbors in many instances. Still, Alaska has a 64% voter participation rate in presidential elections compared with a 65% national presidential voter participation rate. So where's the disenfranchisement happen? Oh, you're going to have to go to Anchorage to do this? Well, no, even here in our little Aleutian Island community, we can process that for you right here at the library. DMV, it's right next to the police station right over there. We can process it for you same day. Are you kidding me? It's faster to get a passport in the freaking Aleutian Islands than it is in Washington, D.C. And Lisa Murkowski knows it. Right? So I asked Grok, the AI of Twitter, X. I said, hey, Grok, how do people living in Alaska's remote Aleutian Islands, how do they vote in U.S. elections? Very quickly, here came the response. People in the Aleutian Islands vote in U.S. elections the same way as other registered Alaska voters, but logistics are adapted for remote communities. They may vote at a local election day polling place, at an absentee voting location, or by absentee ballot. For absentee voting, any eligible Alaska voter can request a ballot by mail, fax, or online delivery. A ballot by fax, ladies and gentlemen. A completed mailed ballot must be postmarked by Election Day and generally reach election officials within 10 days to be counted. Ballots can also be returned by fax by the Election Day deadline. And because many Aleutian communities are reachable mainly by air or sea, ballots and election materials are often transported by aircraft, and mail interruptions or weather can make timely delivery a real challenge. However, Alaska's post-election day receipt period is intended to, in part, account for those distances. So what's the problem? Sounds like it's a well-oiled machine out there in Alaska. Sounds like they aren't hurting for anything in Alaska. Least of all would be Senator Murkowski alleging that it's just too onerous to prove who you are is who you are. Unless Senator Murkowski leads people who aren't who they are to vote for her. And I asked, hey, Grok, what is Alaska's post-election day receipt period again? Well, I got to have things arrive 10 days afterwards to be counted. Not a big deal. We always get it in. Not a problem. 737,000 people. We've been doing this for a while. Hey, Senator, what do you say? What do you say to that? See, that is the kind of independent journalism that would get James O'Keefe cited and fined $4,000 in California. See, in California, much like in Alaska with Senator Murkowski, there's some things they don't want to change. Status quo is super comfy when you're the one in charge making the decisions, getting rich off of whatever you're getting rich off of and scamming the system. But if you want a system that's actually accountable, that's what the Save America Act is all about. And now that the Supreme Court has said one ballot, one mail-in ballot, per one registered voter, no shenanigans, no 15 coming to your house, no dead voters, no people who don't exist, no people who are registered to vote at, homeless shelters that don't have beds. No more of that. That is what they're afraid of more than anything. Isn't it? Wars are the ones they attack. Isn't that amazing? And then, of course, there is, do we have a little bit of James O'Keefe, too, where he shares his findings with Lisa Murkowski's office? Listen.
Everybody here contradicting what Lisa Murkowski is saying.
We reached out to Senator Lisa Murkowski's team for comment, and here's what they said. Quote, Murkowski stands by her concerns about how the SAFE Act could impact eligible voters in Alaska. Right now, unalaska residents may be able to access these services locally, but it remains unclear how these processes would operate under entirely new federal requirements that would take effect immediately, unquote. And in reaction to our previous piece, where I obtained Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot, Lisa Murkowski is now threatening my team with legal action instead of investigating the flawed system that we exposed, claiming we should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for voter impersonation, despite the fact we didn't actually impersonate anybody. We merely said their name without uttering the words, I am this person. And even Lisa's state director, Karina Waller, is threatening our journalist and claiming she is submitting a report to the Division of Elections and the Department of Law. We continue to wonder why our elected officials insist on threatening us constantly with legal action instead of thanking us for exposing the flaws in the election systems that Americans depend upon. And again, we are coming on the heels of our victory in the United States Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit and Democracy Partners versus O'Keefe, which legalizes and legitimizes undercover journalism for the public's right to know.
Undercover journalism for the public's right to know. Imagine what we wouldn't know if it weren't for people like James O'Keefe. Well, speaking of frauds, Gavin Newsom really the Postal Service does not want the Postal Service delivering official government ballots to only registered voters in his state. So he's preparing a lawsuit. You can't make it up. I wonder why. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He's got a little legal action of his own to worry about, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Gavin. Oh, Gavin. What? Oh, you just went.
Huh?
Huh? How's everybody? Let's see where we're going.
Once again, I did not send anyone a birthday invite. My email was hacked.
His birthday is 12/12. Mine is 4/4. Ain't that cute? Ain't that cute?
So if you got an invite from me or anyone you know got an invite from me, tell them they're not invited.
Wow, that's rich coming from you.
Welcome to my world, everyone.
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
weren't invited.
Drink.
Hell, Wendy wasn't coming anyways.
Drink LTV. I said I wasn't going to come to your fictitious party. DrinkLTV.com/Wendy. DrinkLTV.com/Wendy. This whole idea of having a dehydrated liver, the hydration organ of the body, it's interesting. I never even thought about this, that you can try to drink powdered electrolyte mixes, and that's not going to move the needle because those particular products don't get to you down to the cellular level. And the things about a dehydrated liver, I'm going to say this because I talked to my rep yesterday. And I said, I've been drinking this LTV. This is what it is. I'm out now. So I'm super panicked. This is what it is. And it came in little packets, but it's gone now. And this was the citrus 30 servings packet. And I'm going to tell you, I put it in Brock put it in water for me every day, throw some of the ice in it from Iceman, Chef Man. And I would drink it down, and I will tell you, there is a decided difference in my gut and how I feel after I eat and after I wake up from a big night of big dinner with the family. I used to wake up and I feel like a stuffed sausage, or just like, oh, and just feel giant. I don't feel like that at all. If you feel bloated, if you feel stuffed, like you got to open up your pants after you eat because it's just like, what's going on here? If you feel sluggish, if you feel dull, if even your face, your skin, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I look like a corpse. I look gray. This could be signs of a dehydrated liver. Why not try a bag? DrinkLTV.com/Wendy, up to 64% off. Ridiculous price, ridiculous savings. Phenomenal product. I will just tell you how I feel. Smoother digestion, a flatter stomach, definitely a flatter stomach, and less bloat. It's so much more comfortable. And you know how you feel? You almost want to wear like big blousy things to cover it. You're like, I have to cover this up. I'm going to eat something. I'm going to look 8 months pregnant. It doesn't happen like that now. It's wild. DrinkLTV.com/Wendy. I told Tiffany, I'm like, stat, Brock and I are both on it. So
yeah. Overnight that.
It went out yesterday.
Remember,
What?
Send all your fake birthday gifts for Brock's fake birthday to the PO.
He was pissed that I wasn't going to go to his fictitious birthday. I'm like, I'm not going to your birthday. It's fake. And he's like, why wouldn't you go to my fake birthday? I'm like, because it's fake. And he's like, well, why is that an excuse? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
right?
now we are all dumber.
Send all your fake birthday cards with tons of money
There are people who send cute little
and
things.
gifts
How about
to the
this?
real PO box.
How about this from Peter from Lenoir City, Tennessee?
My favorite place.
Car clings.
You didn't even tell people what I got you.
This is yours.
Smokey.
That is so sweet. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. Why is it, well, you know, we already know the answer. How is it so hard to get liberals to pay attention to why Democrats fight against what Trump and conservatives want to do? They say it's because it's a Trump, what do they call him? It's a cartel. The Trump cartel. We're going to stand up and we're going to fight. We're going to resist the Trump cartel if it's the last thing we do. And you're like, well, really all he's trying to do is expose the waste of taxpayer money. You're against that? I am. Oh, really? Oh, really? All he's trying to do is just ensure that the people who vote in our elections are American citizens. You're against that? I am. Well, then you're a crazy nutcase and you need to sit down. That's where we are. How do you get people who've gobbled up so much of the rot on the left? What is that like Men in Black moment that wakes everybody up and they're like, whoa, races your brain from what you've been through and now you're back on square one? Like, what was that? What just happened? Nothing. It was a bad dream. I don't know. Because this doesn't make sense. So this is the same Gavin Newsom, I should say, who, along with his wife, is facing an active U.S. Department of Justice and FBI federal investigation. They are under investigation by the feds. They're probing Gavin Newsom's wife, Jennifer, her finances, tax records, and the operations of her nonprofit organizations, which managed to funnel money that came from the Newsom administration to nonprofits that then are very close friends with Jennifer. She's completely involved in, and money goes that way. You see how that cycle works? Gavin Newsom knows that in order for him to stay out of the crosshairs of legal consequence for being a scumbag, right? He's got to ascend into the White House. That's the greatest place you could be protected. I mean, Joe Biden was allowed to be asleep there in his hyperbaric chamber for 4 years. We saw him like 8 times. That's what Gavin Newsom needs. And so he's going to fight like hell. I'm not going to let Nick Shirley expose the fraud and the rampant abuse in this administration, damn it, any more than I'm going to let Trump screw up our election cheating. I mean, it's seriously what it is. Newsom promises new legal fight after Trump gets Supreme Court victory on mail-in voting. Do I have to read to you any of that article for you to say why? What do you... You're gonna allege that the executive branch is trying to intervene in matters that states handle, which is true. But if states can't handle the amount of fraud and dead people are cheating and hundreds of thousands of illegals are cheating and voting, what's the president to do? Go to the high court and get the approval to do what needs to be done. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced plans to sue the Trump administration over its push to restrict mail-in voting. Mail-in cheating after the Supreme Court allowed the administration to enforce challenged provisions of the president's executive order for election integrity. The announcement sets up the next phase of the legal fight after the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in favor of the Trump administration Monday. Legal fight. We're going to fight. We're going to fight it all. We're going to fight justice. We're going to fight it all. We're going to fight Trump. Fight. And so, in so doing, you're going to accomplish nothing for the people. of the, what is it, 39 million people who live in California? Does Gavin Newsom represent all those people when he says he wants to fight measures to secure our elections? Of course not. He's fighting for his own political ass, is what he's doing. Federal investigators apparently have been cozying up to interviewing Jennifer Newsom's former employees and Gavin's, their associates, their family, friends. They've already gotten a guilty plea from a former Newsom chief of staff, Dana Williamson, who pled guilty to federal fraud and tax charges. But I'm sure Gavin Newsom and his wife are totally squeaky clean. The more noise you create, the more smoke you can kick up into the atmosphere, the better your chance of blinding an astute public that has dealt with your garbage for too long. But I don't know if it's going to work anymore. I don't know. And come November, by the way, the midterms, right? What's going to happen? You haven't heard Xavier Becerra's name recently, have you? The guy who let 500,000 illegal alien children be snatched, trafficked, raped, abused, murdered, and put into personal indentured servitude. That guy wants to be Gavin Newsom's successor. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program. It's a great, great, great new book. I'm not going to tell you about the book. I'm going to tell you about who it's about. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And I say the guy who has written the biography about Clarence Thomas is going to be the man who will replace him on the Supreme Court. Really? Who could it be? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Do you think I'm right?
I agree 100%.
Do you
I
really?
thought that from the start.
Did you? See, we didn't talk about that. So
no,
I
we didn't. But I saw it you on the rundown, and I thought he was before. This sort of just makes me think almost like a torch being passed.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
But you know what I did think?
What?
I would love, and I'm not jockeying for a raise or anything. I would love to see you interview Clarence Thomas. Not about decisions, but about his life and how he comes to be, sort of like his biography. But I would have rather heard you do the interview. That makes sense. Just because I remember the interview with
very similar
Ben Carson.
Very similar.
You know,
very similar stories.
You talk to a man that loves his mom, and that's how you start. You got him.
Yeah, we had
and
a
these
nice...
people called back and said he'll come on anytime you want.
Well, I mean, I think when you don't interrupt people and you let them talk, I want you guys to pay attention. There's a CBS News clip in here. So it's Ted Cruz who's going to be sitting down. He's been friends with Clarence Thomas apparently for many, many years, and in fact argued cases in front of Clarence Thomas at the Supreme Court. But there's this guy, Major Garrett, and he's just a hack. He just represents what I believe is the blowhard mentality of people in media. It's like, I don't have to be the expert here. I'm interviewing you because you are. This isn't about me. This is about me setting you up so that you can speak the best way possible, right? So if nobody pays attention to me, that's a successful interview. A lot of people in journalism, though, in media, have to insert themselves into it, be obstreperous jerk-offs. Major Garrett is one of these people, and you'll notice it. He jumps in as though he knows anything about Clarence Thomas. He might, but it's not convincing, and it's unnecessary. Let Ted Cruz talk. I want to read you this from Healthy Cell. After 55, your body just can't absorb nutrients from pills like it used to. Weaker stomach acid, slower blood flow, and a thinner gut lining mean most of that pill multivitamin passes right through you and you into the toilet, right? When your body can't absorb those nutrients, you start to feel it. Don't blame age, blame absorption. Low B12, vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium can quietly drain your energy and your focus. Healthy Cell Micro Gel replaces hard-to-digest pills with a nutrient-packed gel your body actually absorbs, and it's clinically proven to deliver 165% more nutrients than standard vitamins. Okay? That's why I've been talking about this Immune Super Boost, the multivitamin. I take Calm Mood before the show. It really settles down my thoughts, focus and recall. You really feel the cobwebs go away. REM sleep at night, zonk out. 20% off your first order. I love this company. I take at least 2 of these every day, different kinds. Usually a REM sleep at night and almost always exclusively one of the morning ones, whether it's a focus and recall or a Calm Mood. This is the deal. healthycell.com/Wendy. I strongly encourage you try them. It's fantastic. I'm going to try to go to the bathroom real fast, guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to see if I have time.
Good luck. I would love to hear Wendy interview Clarence Thomas. Remember, no pet show this weekend. Probably a Weekends with Wendy. Bad jokes, good news on Friday. There is no birthday party. But you can all send gifts. For those who weren't here at the beginning, 2 things. My email was hacked, so if you got something from me, please don't open it. I did not send out birthday, not having a birthday party. I don't like that many people. I sure as hell don't want to party. But merch will be dropping next, not this Friday, Friday after. There's going to be Zippos with the logos on it. And they're limited. We only ordered 100. We ordered Second Amendment commemorative gifts, the third in the series, which will be the final one. We got some of the first series and some of the second series too, so they're very limited. What else we get? We are getting more mugs of the cartoons back in the store. There's something else. Magazines, mugs, like Zippos.
Zippos.
The Zippos are super cool. They are super cool.
I have to buy one. I'll give it to Toolsy.
What's that?
I'll probably give it to Toolsy. He kind of collects Zippos.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Toolsy can buy one. I don't have one.
Why does it always come back to you? Why?
Just,
Why are you such a victim? If I wouldn't know better, you're a freaking liberal. Honest to goodness, like it's truly criminal what your victim status is. It's like if you're not included and invited to everything, there's some giant affront to you.
It's a conspiracy.
It
theory.
is. See, it's very it's unhealthy.
But that will be dropping. Shirts are being ordered and made.
We're gonna pass right by that.
And Jolene is bringing us some stickers because you people have asked for have asked for stickers. So she's bringing us some stickers to get approval. So there's that.
This is from Team Zeppelin and Eileen. That's who did this.
Oh, I guess I have. You didn't tell everybody what I got you from Tennessee.
I should probably bring it in. They're so cute. Tennessee head covers. They are so
with Smokey.
Cute. Smokey the pup. It was really thoughtful too. I like them. Thank you so much.
I got a Trump one for myself.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, there's a new book out. It's called Going Further, The Incomparable Clarence Thomas. Now, I don't do book reviews on this show any more than we take phone calls or have guests. But this is one of those books that I think is very interesting, not even so much for the content, but the conversation that's created. Because I believe the person who sat down to write this biography of the second longest serving Supreme Court justice in American history, Clarence Thomas, is actually going to be the guy who replaces him when it's time for Clarence to either resign or, God forbid, passes away. That's Senator Ted Cruz. Hook, line, and sinker. I'm 100% down with that. 100%. I would be delighted to have a Ted Cruz be a Supreme Court justice. He has the temperament. He is an extraordinary legal mind. And he argued cases often in front of the Supreme Court and became very good friends with Clarence Thomas back in the day. So Thomas sits down for his first podcast. How cute is this? What is he, 80? This is his first podcast. And is on Ted Cruz's show. It's called Verdict. And he's talking about his life, growing up in poverty in rural Georgia, and also learning his most important life lessons from his illiterate grandparents. Here he is first. Ted Cruz is, and this is going to go back and forth. It's going to go back between Ted Cruz hitting the circuits for the media yesterday as this new book dropped, talking about some of the most salient points of this interview, some of the most amazing things about Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and Thomas himself sitting down on Ted Cruz's podcast. So it's going to kind of ping pong. We're going to start with Ted Cruz on CBS this morning. He's talking to Major Garrett. And Cruz shares a bit of the lead-up backstory to this new book on Clarence Thomas, again titled Going Further, The Incomparable Clarence Thomas, which was published yesterday. Listen.
There is no other Supreme Court justice in history who came from abject poverty. Right. He grew up in Pinpoint, Georgia. Actually, English was not his first language.
No, it was not. Absorbed withering racism.
He was born just after World War II. He was born before Brown versus Board of Education. He grew up. He was raised by his grandfather. He had a single mom who faced a lot of challenges. His grandfather raised him. His grandfather was the son of a freed slave. You think about the time, and was a tough man. He called his grandfather Daddy, and raised him with discipline. He sold fuel oil as a little boy with his grandfather, and then he wanted to be a priest. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know this. He went to seminary and was convinced he was going to be a priest, and ended up getting disillusioned on the church over race, that he thought the church.
And then for a while was a college radical.
He was a college radical, camouflage pants, Malcolm X on the wall.
Stokely Carmichael.
He was actually Stokely Carmichael. He was actually in a riot in Harvard Square when he was at Holy Cross. He went to Harvard Square, was part of a riot.
Anti-war riot, yeah.
His
protest
journey from far left radical to principled conservative is an incredible journey.
I had no idea that he was a leftist at one point. I had no idea that he would have been considered radical and that he got involved in one of these mobs, one of these situations. I would never have seen that, but I get it. It almost makes who he is now even more important, more interesting. So here's Clarence Thomas sitting down on Ted Cruz's Verdict podcast, and he's talking about his role models, his grandparents, who, by the way, were both illiterate. I think his mom had 6 years of education. His dad had 9 months, or his grandparents rather, had 9 months, 9 months and 6 years of formal education, and they pushed the most important thing on their grandson, Clarence, and that was the importance of reading and education.
They are the two greatest people you've ever known.
Well, and he instilled a lot of discipline in you. He was, I think, a hard man and a strong man.
Yeah. Well, you're from Texas. Yeah. When you live a hard life, you have to be hard or you collapse. I mean, today we are inundated with fragile people. You are not permitted. I mean, you live in poverty and you have to figure things out. And he had a total of 9 months of education. My grandmother had 6 years, and those weren't 6 full years, 9 months. They knew how to make do with life. They knew how to make a way in the world without no education. So things that we have today, like education, freedom, etc., they prized, they dreamt about. They wanted us to have a chance to have those things.
Well, and your grandparents prioritized education with you and reading in particular. That became an outlet for you as a boy.
Well, they were absolute about education, but the other thing was work. He didn't believe in sports. That was foolishness. We didn't have time for that. We delivered fuel oil in the winter, and we farmed in the summer.
When you're poor, you don't have time to play. You have time to work. And that's what you do. Ted Cruz then jumped over to Mark Levin's show, and he said, it's interesting. If Clarence Thomas had been a liberal, he would be adored and deified. But instead, he's hated for being a traitor to his own race. My goodness.
Look, this book, I wrote this book because I think this story needs to be told. I look at, if Clarence Thomas were liberal, he would be venerated. You would have schools named after him. You'd have honorary degrees from every law school in America. You would have kids wearing chic shirts, like think Notorious RBG, like CT would be a brand and an emblem, and instead, the left despises him. And they have a particular level of vitriol. Look, Antonin Scalia was brilliant. You and I both knew Justice Scalia well. He had an incandescent mind. He was very conservative. And yet the left didn't despise him the way they hate Clarence Thomas. And their view is he is a traitor to his race, that no black man is allowed to think the way he does. And so he has been subject to absolute just hate.
That's called racism. The left, the ones that like to throw those words around, the biggest offenders. The people who demand inclusion are the most exclusive people they are. If you don't fit into their ideology, you are persona non grata. And if you don't use your card-carrying black card, right? You don't have your black card on you, you're not a Democrat, then you are to be reviled. You are to be fought. You are to be hated, even when you're brilliant, like Clarence Thomas. Thomas tells Ted Cruz about an analogy his grandfather used to compare the true attitudes and racism that existed in the North versus the South. I think this is fascinating.
My grandfather always used this analogy. And the difference between a rattlesnake and a moccasin, which we had both, and they were pretty big in Georgia, in South Georgia. A rattlesnake always warned you, and if you gave it time, it'll get out of your way. It'd leave you. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. A moccasin wouldn't warn you, and its attitude was, look, I was here first, and you're going to have a bad day, and I'm not moving. But his point was about the warning that you had some people in Georgia who didn't like blacks, and they were bigots, and they were openly so. They would,
and what you said is the southern racists were like rattlesnakes.
They were like
you knew who they were. They made noise, and they were visible. But when you went to the north and the northeast, they were like moccasins. They were hidden until they'd strike.
Yeah, and the attitude. That was sort of one of the things that surprised me. We were told basically that the North was the Holy Grail.
Right.
So it was shocking to see in New England the kind of ethnic divisions, the bigotry toward minorities, etc.
Stories of actual racism, not convenient allegations of to create a narrative of victim status. Ted Cruz then hops over to News Nation, talks to Katie Pavlich. He says, look, this book covers not just Clarence Thomas's legal journey, but his intellectual one. And he says there's a shortage of heroes in this world, which means to me, this book should be standard operating. It should be all in every single classroom in America. And I haven't even read it. Listen.
And so what this book does is it traces the intellectual journey from angry left-wing radical to one of the most important conservative thinkers in history. It also takes, so Clarence Thomas is today the second longest serving justice on the court. In 2 years, he'll be the longest serving justice ever. And what I tried to do in this book is explain his 30 years of jurisprudence, why it matters, in a way that is understandable, that is interesting, that is fun. You don't have to be a lawyer to read this book. You don't have to be a constitutional law expert.
Thank goodness for that. We're glad to hear.
This is written so, like, you know, a kid in high school can pick it up and read it and be inspired. And I wrote this book, Katie, because at a time of such division and anger where people are disillusioned, there's a shortage of heroes in the world. And I think Clarence Thomas is a hero. And if you read his story, you will be inspired. I want to encourage folks, go on to Amazon, buy this book, give it to your kids, give it to your grandkids. This story will inspire you. And I think we all need role models. And I think you would be very hard-pressed to find a better role model than Clarence Thomas.
When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I think what we're going to do, I have one final Clarence Thomas soundbite. It's his best one. He talks about something that we spoke of yesterday. Personal responsibility and accountability, knowing who you are, standing up for it, and being responsible for your own decisions and actions. Perhaps what all of us need to hear next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'll say so.
I'm going to look on Audible. If he read it, I would
do that.
Him and Thomas Sowell I could listen to all day long.
I'm telling you, some of my favorite people in industries are black. 100%. My favorite actors are all black. Love them. Morgan Freeman.
What was the name of the book?
It's called, hold on, Going Further, The Incomparable Clarence Thomas. Denzel Washington. Love. Even Samuel L., even though he's nutty. I love him in acting. God, he's good. And yeah, you're right. Thomas Sowell, Clarence Thomas. God. Does it seem like it exists or no?
Yeah.
While he's looking, let me tell you about disinfectwithsniper.com, disinfectwithsniper.com. You've got a couple more days to go, 20% off. They're getting new customers from around the country listening to this commercial saying, what is this sniper? Look, you've got cold and flu season on the horizon. We've got kids going back to school, kids from as little as preschool and kindergarten all the way up to college in the dorm rooms and apartments. All of them are now going to be around zillions of more people, lots more germs, bacteria, et cetera, et cetera. Disinfect with Sniper is a hospital disinfectant. It says it right here on it, hospital disinfectant. It does all sorts of stuff. I'll just read you the label. Crazy. Let's see. Deodorize with Sniper. Eliminate odors at the source. Eliminate odor in shoes, furniture, mattresses, curtains, drapes, cartons, carpets, rugs, sports equipment, helmets, gloves, body armor, and vehicles. Okay. Ideal for, let's see, strong cat odors, pet odors, animal kennels, barn stalls, urine and other waste odors, strong ammonia, strong sulfur and formaldehyde odors, strong smoke odors caused by fire, tobacco, and other sources. Blah, blah, blah. Deodorize your entire HVAC system by taking your air filter out and spritzing it once a month. Makes a huge difference. All of this stuff, residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, no rinsing required. You just spritz it and you forget about it. And it cleans everything and you don't get sick. How about that? Disinfectwithsniper.com. Free shipping, 20% off. You better jump. Better jump because this has got 5 more days to go. End of this month, it's done. I love it. I think it's great.
While you're there, get the spices. The Hunt Chef spice. You're welcome.
They are pretty special. I agree. I really like this last soundbite. And I don't know if it's going to be a hard pivot to the next thing, but it is what it is. I didn't want to go. That was going to be late.
You'd have been real late.
I would have been real late. So
I've been real angry.
Would you have?
No.
I wouldn't do that to you, though. Okay. Remember bad jokes?
We covered this while you were on the potty.
Good news. Okay.
We covered merch, no party, and bad jokes and good news. And is there weekends with Wendy?
Yeah.
Okay. No pet show, but
does that
weekends with
work
Wendy.
for you? 7 to 8? Hey, this is why you want to hit the follow button. Follow us because we do 7 shows a week sometimes. 5 during the week. Then he does the pet show Saturdays at 10. This is with the world renowned.
Here we go.
Hear this final Clarence Thomas soundbite. This is a guy that's not in a big media glare. People leave him alone. He doesn't ask for the spotlight. He doesn't want the spotlight. And this is what he said about personal responsibility. Again, Clarence Thomas's new biography on him, just out, released yesterday. We got to find it if it's on audiobook or what have you. What a gift. Going further, the incomparable Clarence Thomas. This is how you get the real story from the man's mouth about who he is and how he became the thought leader he is. Here is Clarence Thomas talking to Ted Cruz about personal accountability.
And even when you were a left-wing radical, you could see glimmers of the man that Clarence Thomas would become. That in many ways, I think, was the wisdom your grandfather and your grandmother had imparted to you. But you could see the individualist. You have never liked to conform.
Well, I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
I just think the nuns made it clear that when God created us, it was mind, soul, and body. And you don't just liberate the body. And you were responsible. You committed a sin. It wasn't because the devil didn't make you do it. You did it. Mm-hmm. You gave in. You made the decision. And you were responsible. And you didn't do your homework. You were responsible. Excuses didn't count. And my grandfather was that way. You were accountable. And that's similarly when you made, it was my life. And I'm not talking about being a libertine or anything like that. It's more libertarian.
Right.
That you believe in liberty, and that means you have to take responsibility for it. And I really didn't like people saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. We had this saying that there's only 2 things I have to do, stay black and die.
Yeah.
And that was a retort to people who had these sort of requirements for us, these mandates for us because of our skin color.
Accountability, he says. And that's an interesting pivot into what we're going to talk about after the next commercial break. But I want to bring this up to you, this idea of the empathetic murderer. Not taking accountability, responsibility for killing your children, but saying that you were overcome by psychosis, by mental delusion, by postpartum derangement, whatever it was. That is the story in this Lindsay Clancy case that has so many women now glomming on. And it seems like we've now jumped the shark. I want you to hear this particular clip. Do we have time for this, Brock? This is a conservative British comment. You know what? I'm gonna sit on this because I don't think I have time to squeeze it in and have it make sense. I want to read you a little setup to where we're going next because it all kind of is connected here. A former Barack Obama advisor on TV on GB, Great Britain News, okay? And she's responding to a fellow who's basically calling out the women who are supporting Lindsay Clancy, who killed her children, and supporting her and making her into some hero who's shining a spotlight on postpartum psychosis. And this commentator, this fellow, Thomas Corbett Dillon, this is where the gloves are off, and we're done being polite. We're going to say what needs to be said because I'm not playing your delusional games anymore. We're going to call things out for what they are. Whether it's a woman who killed her children is guilty of killing her children, to you stole an election and there must be consequences, to you created a situation and put people in the crosshairs on January 6th because you needed an excuse and a smokescreen, to we understand the virus was created in a lab and that you used our money to make it more dangerous for human beings, to we understand that you foisted upon the world an elixir that you knew was far more dangerous than the virus it was allegedly curing. And you knew damn well it wasn't curing anything. See, this is where we are now. We've been polite, we've tiptoed, we've walked away, we've heard your chatter loudly in the hallway, and we haven't gone toe-to-toe with you because we're not interested in engaging. But now we've grown weary of your foolishness. Your antics have pissed us off to the last level, and when you want men to play in women's sports, but a man who has a wig and says he's tranny, you won't let him play. We have to say, come on, you've now gone past the point of no return. Period. Let's talk about this because it is disturbing but important. The cult of the sympathetic killer. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I want to tell you about Ghost Bed. I've been remiss with Ghost Bed and Chef Man. I'm so upset. But we've got the biggest audience so far. Guys, we've got 753 people on X. That's so exciting for me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm like, so excited. I love it. When you have to scrap and work for everything, isn't the victory of your sport, isn't that so much more delicious? I think so. I think so. It's great. Anyway, Ghost Bed. Look, there's no reason for you to wake up and feel like you were in a fist fight and woke up sore the next morning. Like, what happens in the overnight hours where we get all twisted out of shape and feel like pretzels? Wouldn't you love to lie down on a mattress, not roast in it, fall asleep, stay asleep, and get a good night's sleep every night? Would you like that? Because you can get it. Ghostbed.com. Use my name, Wendy, 10% off. This is made to your specifications, shipped to your door. This is something that is easy for you to set up. You don't need a delivery man per se. You open it up, it goes whoosh, and it comes in a cylinder and it pops to life, and you give it 24 to 48 hours to get fully inflated or I don't know, zhuzhed up. And then, oh my gosh, you say to yourself, why didn't I do this before? My hybrid has the 3/4 of it. That's that firm mattress. And then it has just the right amount of padding on top, that pillow top kind of hug at night that you get. That's what I have. It's so nice. And the cooling technologies and all of it. 101 night sleep night guarantee. Who gives you 100 nights to sleep on a mattress and then say, meh, I don't like it? You're not going to want to give it back. I can tell you that. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Made in America by a guy who couldn't find a mattress that didn't suck, so he made one. That's my kind of guy. And it's a family business. Super cute. I'm liking that drink LTV. I'm getting annoyed that I'm falling for this stuff. And then it runs out. Brock will say you have to get on it faster. Right? Chef Man, the slushies, 25% off. Remember that, 25% off. And I'll tell you that that 25% off coupon goes on everything. Unless they've changed it, because I clicked on everything. I added everything to the cart. I'm like, I like the panini press. I like the air fryer.
The espresso machine.
I like the espresso machine. And I certainly like the Slush Ease. This is a 90-ounce professional grade, though it's not got a big footprint. It's a relatively heavy piece of machinery, which you want. Right? It's making 90 ounces of frappuccino, frappes, milkshakes, margaritas, any kind of frothy, awesome drink that you want. No ice needed. It does all that for you. It's sleek, though. It doesn't take up a huge footprint on the counter. So while it's got meat to it, it's heavy, right? It doesn't completely gobble up all the space in your kitchen. Fantastic. It's called the Slush Ease. And I'm thinking, you've got somebody for Christmas, you've got something coming up. Why not buy one of these 25% off? Open up your phone, open up the camera, hover over the QR code. Bada bing, it gets you 25% off everything. Chefman.com. Use my name, Wendy, as a checkout. How you doing? Very nice.
You could enjoy a nice espresso while laying in your ghost bed in the morning. Sounds like a fantastic morning.
Ooh, I didn't do Dr. Gundry either, did I? No, I'll do him next.
Did you do it when I was in the bathroom?
No, I went kind of haywire on Texas Bullion Exchange.
You didn't? Did you do Kelly?
I did not. I have 2 to go. I can do 1.
Slacker.
I have been. I'm sorry. But it's hard. Like, I don't think about it. Literally, it's like, it's not even a whole scoop.
No.
It's like a half of a scoop. So it's just sort of like an insult. I drank 3 bottles of this lickety split, you guys. And I'm going to tell you, Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds drinking the mix that he made. And he put it out there as a viable alternative, a safe alternative to some of these medications that are coming out that are a little bit more invasive. Not everybody has the money for it. Not everybody has the confidence in shots from pharma like that. And so if you want to start small, this is a perfect way to go. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy from Dr. Gundry literally changed career paths and stopped the whole surgeon stuff to do this because it was so dang successful. You lost 70 pounds. You're already drinking water. Why wouldn't you? Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. 20% off. It's fantastic. Just going to say.
Can we hit the Rumble button?
Oh, are we hurting?
We're less than 2.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we need 30 people.
Is everybody on X today? Like,
I'd love to get 200 more. 200. I haven't asked in a long time, really. I've been pretty good. How are the comments? We haven't really asked any questions today. I kind of feel bad that I
bought the book.
You did?
Yeah.
Audio.
Yeah. That way I can listen while I'm doing stuff. You know, all the stuff.
What does that cost?
A credit. We were out of credits because Kate listens to like 4 books at a time. So I was like, hey, I need a credit.
I don't know how that works. So that doesn't,
she went and bought the
doesn't make any
credits.
sense for me.
We have a membership.
To Amazon?
To
or
Audible.
Audible. Oh. Site, my favorite writer, my favorite guy. I love his site. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. There's a fantastic article, jdrucker.com, Rucker. This is the title of it, and it's going to bounce us into two audio clips that I think are extraordinary. One is this exchange between a conservative man and a liberal woman who worked for the Obama administration, calling out the despicable fangirling over Lindsay Clancy in this case that is just absolutely horrific. When a mom murders her 3 children by strangling them with exercise bands, right? It leaves you speechless. And then Anonymous from Deepfake Quotes gives us kind of a retrospective to George Orwell's 1984, which was written 75 years ago. And it's so applicable today about authoritarian, totalitarian government, stuff like that. But I want to read you this, The Cult of the Sympathetic Killer. We'll get a little bit into it because it's really smart. Last Thursday morning outside the Plymouth Superior Courthouse in Massachusetts, hundreds of demonstrators, most of them women dressed in pink, held hands and rallied in support of Lindsay Clancy, the Duxbury mother on trial for strangling her 3 children. Cora was 5 years old. Dawson was 3. Callan was 8 months. Her attorney does not dispute that she killed them. The dispute is only over whether she should be held responsible. The shirts in the crowd carried slogans like "Believe," "She needed help," "Peace for Lindsay." When her defense attorney arrived, the crowd broke into applause with some shouting like he was a fighter for women's rights. Towards the end of the rally, the supporters formed a circle, recited the Lord's Prayer, and made hearts with their hands. They prayed the prayer of Jesus Christ at a rally for a woman who took the lives of 3 image bearers of God. And nobody in the circle seems to have noticed anything strange about it. The rally organizer explained the draw this way. "I think that every one of us women believe that it could have been any of us," she said. Sit with that sentence for a moment, because it is the skeleton key to everything that follows. Not "there, but for the grace of God go I," the old confession of a sinner who knows his own heart. Something else entirely. An identification so total that the victims dissolve from the story altogether. 3 dead children become set dressing in a drama about maternal struggle, and the woman who killed them becomes its heroine. If Plymouth were an isolated eruption of misplaced feeling, it would be a curiosity. It is not isolated. 2 weeks from now, jury selection begins in the Manhattan murder trial of Luigi Mangione, the man accused of shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in the back on a New York sidewalk. The judge has taken the extraordinary step of ordering an anonymous jury. Why? Because, as Fox News reported, individuals identifying themselves as Mangione supporters have engaged in hostile public statements outside the courthouse and announced their intention to approach prospective jurors. Mangione's admirers wear green to his hearings in honor of the Nintendo character who shares his name, as though a man's execution outside a Manhattan hotel were a video game, and the accused killer is its lovable protagonist. Before that, the pattern ran through the streets in murals. George Floyd, a man with a lengthy criminal record who died in police custody, was rendered in paintings that would have embarrassed medieval. I don't even want to read that. Michael Brown was transfigured into a martyr through the hands up, don't shoot narrative, a story so thoroughly demolished that even President Obama's own Justice Department concluded it never happened. It didn't matter. The canonization had already occurred, and canonizations, once performed, are not subject to fact-checking. These cases are not legally identical. Floyd and Brown died at the hands of police due to their own horrible choices. Clancy and Mangione stand accused of killing others. Postpartum psychosis is a real and terrifying psychiatric emergency, and whether Lindsay Clancy meets the legal standard for insanity is a legitimate question for 12 jurors in Plymouth. That is what courts are for. But the jury deliberating an insanity defense is not the phenomenon under examination. The phenomenon is the fandom. The pink shirts, the green shirts, the murals, the TikTok edits, the prayer circles, the applause for defense attorneys as though they're rock stars. The question is not whether any individual defendant deserves due process. Everybody does. The question is why a civilization keeps forming spontaneous cults of veneration around the perpetrators of its most shocking acts, while the victims vanish from memory like breath off a mirror. Right? And it's true. It's true. There is something very dark and sinister and wrong. And I'm not a psychologist, but we can see it, and it does seem diagnosable. Whether it is the original hypothesis of this show today, that Trump derangement syndrome is not just real, but it is rampant. It is insatiable. It is out of control and seemingly infectious. It is the virus you don't want to catch. Whatever the answer is, there is a problem. I want you to hear this exchange. It's just wild. It's on Great Britain News last night. Conservative British commentator Thomas Corbett Dillon. He's on GB News with former Obama advisor Lori Watkins, who takes the mom's side in this for killing her kids. Oh, the agony for poor Lindsay. And the dude, this Corbett Dillon, he's not playing in polite society anymore. Gloves are off. He's not monitoring his words. He's not censoring for the proclivities of others. He's dropping the truth that needs to be dropped everywhere in society. Listen.
These are man-hating women that are standing outside. This is what it's about. They think the husband did it. They're crazy. They've lost their mind.
Do you know why
they're waving for a murderer?
Do you know why the woman is in a wheelchair? Did you even notice that she's
couldn't care less. She's a murderer.
Because she jumped out the window after this happened.
So she should have. I'd have pushed her. They say that Lindsay was in psychosis. I think these women are suffering from psychosis. They've been watching too many true crime Netflix dramas. You know, this was an incredibly privileged woman, incredibly wealthy. She had a nanny, and she's still complaining that she needed help. She could not have got more help from the system that she already have received. This is a murderer who strangled her children one by one. One of the boys ran away, and she chased him down and killed him.
Lori Watkins. What you just said was absolutely disgusting.
Thank
and
you.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
And you can hear that he's not. Okay?
Why? Because it's true.
You clearly don't care, so pipe down.
I don't care. And by the way, men watching this, if you have a woman sat next to you on the sofa who is defending this murderer, you got to think deeply about this. I've seen weddings of people who have some empathy. Talk to your women and find out what are they thinking. They're defending this woman. It's
I don't think anybody's defending what she did, but you can have empathy for what she went through and how she. I know many women that this has happened to. No, they did not kill their children, but they also, what you failed to mention.
They should be commended because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God, they should be commended. They didn't kill their
misogyny.
children. She's a murderer. These women are cheering.
I'm done.
Empathy. The empathetic murderer, ladies and gentlemen. Toxic feminism is now a religion. Imagine how the deep state's platform would sound if they actually told you the truth about what they think. If they actually told you the truth about what they believe, about the world in which they envision for America. Imagine if instead of just blowing up and saying stuff about Trump, oh, it's a cartel, if they would talk about their plans, their objectives, what they see as the United States of America. It ain't about making it great again. It's about total and complete control. Here's Anonymous with a little page out of George Orwell's book. Listen.
George Orwell wrote 1984 more than 75 years ago. He imagined a world where the truth could be rewritten, language could be controlled, and power no longer needed to pretend it served the people. Imagine the party had a platform. Imagine it told you exactly what it believed. No euphemisms, no excuses, just the truth. This is the broadcast. Citizens, this is not a debate. This is the platform. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. Not wealth, not happiness, not your children. Only power, pure power. The object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. These are not phrases. they are the law. Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past. If the record is altered, the past is altered. If 2 and 2 are required to make 5, they make 5. You will reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. This is the final command. Thought crime does not lead to death. Thought crime is death. Nothing belongs to you except a few cubic centimeters inside your skull. Those too will be entered. Orthodoxy means not thinking. Orthodoxy is unconsciousness. There will be no wives, no friends. Children will be taken at birth. The sex instinct will be removed. We shall abolish the orgasm. You will be hollow. We shall squeeze you empty. And then we shall fill you with ourselves. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face. Forever. This is not a warning. This is the schedule. The broadcast is concluded. Resume your duties.
It's creepy as heck, right? But tell me how that's different than what the people here on the left are trying to push, the deep staters, uniparty people. There's a darkness out there, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, our friend, Pentagon spokesman and American hero Sean Parnell has an important message. And it has to do about what happened 5 years ago today. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Kelly Morgan still needs help, she says. Help her and vote for her gym. Morgain's Fitness is the best gym in southwestern Pennsylvania. Go to morgainsfitness.com. Hey, we all love Kelly. And so if you have a chance to swing by and give her a click, that's so appreciated. morgainsfitness.com. But hey, remember, if you're out of town, one of the things that made Kelly so important during COVID was her thinking outside of the box, her pivoting. As gyms were being told to close in Pennsylvania, you weren't allowed to do stuff. And so what did she do? She took the gym and she put it online. And she said, you know what? I'll train you one-on-one. I'll train you one-on-one. I'll tell you what to eat based on your blood work. And I'll tell you what to exercise, how to exercise, what to do. I'll give you videos. Do it at home. Do it at the gym. Do it wherever you feel comfortable, but do it. And do it for 90 days and you will lose weight, fat, inches. And so many people have. And the pictures we see are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This one, I'm going to show you one.
Your favorite one?
No, I love this guy. This is not just 8 months. This is a lot of hard work.
Is this the guy flexing? Yep.
Look at that. That's nuts. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. And once it starts, you're like, I don't even know what to do. How do I get rid of this? Is starving myself going to do it? No. You need to have the right mix. Kelly Morgan is a professional bodybuilder, but she's also a professional mom. And she's good. She heals things. She's great. Air Force veteran, too. Gotta love her. morgainsfitness.com, baby. This thing from Sean, I've not heard him like this before. It's very...
I think his job's changed so much since he's been there.
Mm-hmm. I think this is so...
It's hard to find people you trust. I think Pete found someone he can trust.
And I think that... And he's farming stuff out to Sean.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean is doing this investigation into the withdrawal, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. As a soldier who served in Afghanistan, 485 days of the most intense firefight. 85% of his platoon received Purple Hearts.
He didn't talk about it. Unless you ask him about it. He didn't talk about it.
But he's been asked to study what happened in Kabul at the Abbey Gate.
He would know. Speaking of Sean, if you are still in the Wendy Bell league, we separated them. So if you're still there is a draft tonight, and if you're part of the new league, there is a draft, I believe, Monday night. And Sean's dad's going to be in it, and his son's going to be in it.
Way to throw around star power.
So in the teams leagues, the draft won't last as long because there's only 11 teams. Toolsy better be ready.
I know nothing about this.
Neither do I. I
I
have
don't
no
know, yet
idea
you
who any
do
of the
it.
players are.
I'm going to skyhook this MCT wellness thing.
Schmalby left me
work.
hanging this year.
Yeah, he probably just wants to talk to his girlfriend all the time.
Drink beer.
They
Or
don't
White
like
Claws.
They don't like beer. They will drink that Busch Light apple.
I would not claim them as my children if that was the case. I'd be like, you're on your own. You're making bad choices. I told you about bad choices.
I'd rather they try Busch Light apple in my basement than a shot of vodka somewhere. This is the Wendy Bell radio program. Our friend, wingman, Pete Hegseth wingman, Sean Parnell, an American hero and Pentagon spokesman, put out a video this morning. I saw it about 10 minutes before we went on the air. I asked Brock to snag it because Sean apparently has been tasked with finding out what really happened 5 years ago today in Kabul, Afghanistan. As the explosion, the suicide vests, the bombers blew up Abbey Gate and killed 13 U.S. service members. I wanted you to hear the whole thing because I believe this is the most important thing you will hear today, 5 years to the date later.
5 years ago, I watched Kabul fall. So did every veteran of the war in Afghanistan. 2 decades of us. The ones who deployed in 2002 and the ones who were in grade school when it started and grew up to fight there themselves. Entire generations of Americans gave their years, their bodies, and in too many cases, their lives to that country. And 5 years ago, we watched it come apart in a matter of days. Every veteran of that war carries it, the friends we buried, the ones we couldn't save, the years we gave that suddenly seemed to vanish into a headline. And if you fought in Afghanistan, or if you love someone who did, you know exactly what I mean. And I want to say this plainly to every one of you, what you did there mattered. The way it ended does not erase what you gave. In the middle of that collapse at Abbey Gate, 13 Americans gave their lives. They died protecting people they had never met. Strangers, frightened, with no claim on them except that they were in danger and our people were there to stand between them and the mayhem that was coming. That is who they were. That is who all of you were, across 20 years, the ones who ran toward the danger. To the families of those 13, and to every Gold Star family from that war, the country moved on fast, but I know you didn't get to. I know 5 years is not a number that means anything when it's your son, your daughter, your husband, or your wife. We have not forgotten them. I will not let this country forget them. And you deserve more than remembrance. You deserve the truth about what happened in Afghanistan, told fully and told straight. So let me tell you where that stands. I have the privilege of chairing a team with extensive military service in Afghanistan. These patriots commanded troops, they took fire, they carried the wounded, and they buried their friends. They knew how decisions in Afghanistan became consequences because they are the ones who lived with them. We are conducting a thorough review of what took place in Afghanistan, and I'm going to be honest with you about what that's turning up. The deeper we look, the more there is to look at. We are finding things that we did not expect. Recently, my team recovered highly relevant classified documents, material that should have been disclosed, stashed, and hidden away in safes where they would not be found. And after the team reviewed these documents, it became clear why someone tried to hide them. I'm not going to give you a convenient version of the truth, nor will I give you a rushed one. Here is my commitment. We are following the evidence to wherever it leads and to whoever it touches. We're not accepting incomplete or comfortable answers. The American people and the families who sacrificed everything are owed the full picture of how and why those decisions were made, and we're going to give it to them. That's a promise. Not just for today, not just for an anniversary, but until it's done. To everyone who served there, thank you. To the families who gave the most, we are with you. And to the 13, we say your names, and we will keep saying them long after the cameras are gone. God bless you all, and God bless this great country that we call home.
Darren Hoover, Johanny Rosario Pichardo, Nicole Gee, Hunter Lopez, Dagan Page, Humberto Sanchez, David Espinoza, Jared Schmitz, Riley McCollum, Dylan Marola, Kareem Nakui, Maxton Soviak, and Ryan Noss. We will say your names, and we will not forget. Sean Parnell is digging into something that is very important, not just today on the 5th anniversary of those 13 service members losing their lives and hundreds of others being wounded. Sean Parnell just promised to find the truth. What really happened? What led to that botched withdrawal and the loss of lives? You did not die in vain. Thank you for being a part of the Wendy Bell radio program. I hope to see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Peace.